Joe, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here. I've got you recording and you're live on channel 8.
Okie doke.
Hey, good job, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. So we're set to go forward.
Yes.
And I will start the recording. And move forward. Thank you, everybody. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being audio-video recorded. The agenda lists all the topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed in fact may be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by the open meeting law. This meeting of the Conservation Commission will be held by Zoom at the link provided in the posted agenda. We'll start with roll call vote. Richard Bursch, I am present. Bob Pease. Mike LaRouche.
Here.
Jeff Viviano. Jack Rabbit.
Here.
Katie Childs.
Here.
And Patricia, I'm embarrassed, I don't remember her last name.
Adams.
Adams.
Isn't it Adams?
What's that?
Isn't it Patty Adams?
Is
it
it?
Adams?
Okay.
Yeah, I thought so. And Andrea is nodding yes, so
Yes, Patricia
Sounds right.
Adams. So
Yeah.
she is currently
Yeah.
not there, but we do have 4 for a quorum. We'll start with public comment. Any public comment from commissioners? Seeing none, any public comment from the public? Please raise your hand. Andrea Adams.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me? I had a little trouble
Yes.
with my setup. Okay. I'm going to keep it brief. I know that one of the items on the agenda under new business, or I take it back, continue public hearing, is 101 Pleasant Street. And I just want to say the same thing that I said at the planning board meeting when they dealt with the A&R. I look back at my email correspondence, and the first email that I had from one of his consultants, the petitioner's consultants, was April 4th of this year. We are now on November 17th. So as a former planning professional who dealt with this over 30 years of my career, I am extremely sorry as a former planning professional that it took this long for you to get this to this point with this applicant. It's not a very good use of your time and of the staff time. And I still owe Matt Morrow a beer after everything is said and done with this project. But I want you to know that my first comment to the applicant's engineer was, it's an extremely challenging site. I think you should advise your petitioner to perhaps come in with a reduced size project. And he essentially said no. So I just thought I'd like to express my gratitude for the Conservation Commission for doing yeoman's work on a very challenging project.
Thank you, Andrea. Any other comments from the public? Please raise your hand. Seeing none, we'll move forward with our first hearing pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 is amended in the Town of Lunenburg Wetland Protection and Municipal Bylaws. A public hearing on a notice of intent by Jeffrey Landry for the installation of a tight tank at 1078 Lancaster Ave. And is Mr. Landry or somebody representing?
This is Mark Elbag. I'm the applicant's representative, the engineer on the site. Just to give you a brief overview of the project, this is a very tight lot, small lot on the waterfront. It's converting basically a failed Title V system to a Title V compliant tight tank. There's really not a good alternative, and unfortunately the only feasible solution in this case is a tight tank. We kept it as far away from the resource as possible, being the downstream pond. As you can see, there's erosion control shown on the plan. We expect relatively simple construction. Really, the permitting is probably a bigger effort than the construction at this point in time. And I think the applicant's just looking to kind of get this going and get this under compliance.
All right, thank you. When are you looking to put the tight tank in?
It's still with the Board of Health, but I believe as soon as possible.
Okay, so you're gonna try to do it before the ground freezes up?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's still that window. And like I said, it's very limited construction.
Mhm.
It's really only a pipe and a tank. There's already a pipe with an existing tank that's undersized there now. So it's a relatively simple job. The hardest part about this job will be kind of access to the backyard.
Mm-hmm. All right, the only concern I have is given the grade, is maybe try to beef up the erosion protection rather than just the one wattle line. Would be my only suggestion to back it up.
Yeah,
with
we
a
could.
line of.
Yeah, we'd certainly look at that now. It's all lawn area, and the tank's going in a relatively kind of flat plateau in the backyard.
Okay.
But certainly a second line of defense there is certainly reasonable.
That's my only concern as we're getting into the fall, and sometimes we have been getting some fairly heavy rains. So if they're in there, given the slope, because it looks like we're at 368 and it's not very far. It's only about 20 feet down to 358. So you got a pretty good grade once the silt and the water start to run, if they do start to run. So that would be my only suggestion, is to back that up with a line of staked and buried silt fencing.
Yeah, that's certainly doable and would not be opposed if the committee wanted to condition that in the order.
Okay.
Excuse me, Rich.
Yes, Jack, Matt.
He has 6 to 8 inch wattles on this. I'd probably go to 12 in addition to the silt fence.
Okay.
Because, if it goes rolling down that hill, it's just going to go right over the 6 inch wattles.
Okay. So we'll add that then to the order as a special condition, the silt fence and
Yeah.
12-inch wattles.
That'd be fine.
Okay. Mr. Rabbit, you have your hand up.
Yes, is it Mr. Vice Chairman or Mr. Chairman tonight?
It doesn't really matter.
I know. Want to be proper for,
Just don't
okay,
call me late for
yeah.
dinner.
Mike and I did have a chance to walk the site. It's absolutely tighter than all heck. And I totally agree with the expectation that we would put in all sorts of erosion control. A second layer is what, the wattle and the screening fence below it, because it falls off pretty darn quick. But there is no other place to put this, what they do have. So I would agree with that suggestion.
All righty. Any other questions from members of the commission? Any questions from members of the public? Please raise your hand. All right, seeing none, I'll accept the motion for approval for the tight tank with an added condition of 12-inch wattles and silt fencing staked behind that. Staked and buried.
Second,
Do you have a motion? Do you make the motion, Jack?
I thought you just did.
No, I was asking for a motion.
Okay, yes, I would so move.
All right, do we have a
And I
second?
second.
Second.
All right, Mike seconds. Any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Mike LaRouche. Did I lock up or did you, Mike? Anybody else? You said aye.
I'm all set.
Katie,
Aye.
Giles, Jack Rabbit,
Aye.
and Richard Burrish, aye for myself. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, folks. Much appreciated.
Have a good night. Moving forward, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 is amended, the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on a notice of intent by Kevin Hill for construction of a single-family home at 41 Country Lane. Do we have anybody present for 41 Country Lane?
Associates. I'm here to represent Kevin Hill,
West
41
Street.
Country
Okay,
Road.
Do you have the plan, Richard?
I do. You want to start with the site?
Sure, we can do that. So the site is a 2.67 acre property located at the end of Country Road on your left-hand side as you come up to the end of the cul-de-sac. Majority of the site is wooded. There are some wetlands that crosses through the property. Yeah, there's also a perennial stream in the southerly portion of the property, surrounded by some wetlands. Because of that, we do have the 100-foot inner riparian zone and the 200-foot outer riparian zone, and also the local wetlands bylaw that we have to abide by, being the no-touch zone, but also the 50-foot no-build zone also. And so when looking at the project, what we tried doing is siting the project such that, other than just getting the driveway across to the uplands, trying to meet the local bylaw with regards to the 30-foot no touch and the 50-foot no build. Richard, I don't know if you go to yeah, thank you. And so the way we cited everything, other than, like I said, for the driveway to get to the upland, was to meet the local bylaw of the 30-foot no touch zone, but also the 50-foot no build zone, and keep the impervious surfaces out of the 50-foot no build zone as much as we could, other than for the driveway, and keeping that disturbance as minimal as possible. To do so, we did have to do some, we are showing some work within the 100-foot inner riparian zone and also the 200-foot outer riparian zone. The total riverfront on the property is 104,541 square feet. Of that, within the 100-foot inner riparian zone, we're looking at disturbing about 7,777 square feet. 200-foot outer riparian zone, as you can see on your screen, is 14,747. Total disturbance within the riverfront is at 21.5%, which we know exceeds the 10% threshold, but is within the Riverfront Protection Act. The lot was created prior to 1996. The lot actually was created in 1977. So there was an A&R plan that our former office did back in November of 1977 that created this lot. And so this lot was created well in advance of the 1996 timeframe that DEP has. On the plan, you can see we show the well. We're showing the well within the 100-foot buffer zone. We're showing the well out of the 100-foot riparian zone, but within the 200-foot riparian zone. The septic system is up in the kind of the funkier shaped part of the property, where we were trying to get that out of the 100-foot buffer zone, but that will be in the 200-foot outer riparian zone. We will have to pump up to that, and so you can see in the back of the house there is the septic tank, but also the pump chamber in the back of the house. But we're again trying to keep that out of the 50-foot no build zone, but also keeping any of the disturbance out of the 30-foot no touch zone in the back of that property, also associated with wetlands in the back there. You can see we show as minimal disturbance as we can associated with the house and the utilities on this, similar to the way the provisions work within the Wetlands Protection Act with regards to lots created prior to 1996. And so the way it's worded is notwithstanding the provisions of 310 CMR 10.58 for D1 or 2, the issuing authority shall allow the construction of a single-family house, a septic system if no sewer is available, and a driveway on a lot recorded before August 7th, 1996, where the size of the shape of the lot within the riverfront, 10 CMR 10.58 for D1 or 2. And then provided that the lot can be developed for such purposes under the applicable provisions of other municipal and state law. And so the applicant did go to the ZBA to make sure that they did get the variance for the for the lot to make sure that they can build on the lot. So they've already taken care of that issue. And the only thing outstanding on this is now to get a permit from the Conservation Commission to do work within the 100-foot buffer zone, the 100-foot inner riparian zone, and the 200-foot outer riparian zone. And so, like I said, we tried citing everything to meet your requirements as much as we could. If we were to push the development closer to the wetlands in front of the lot, we could push it more out of the 100-foot riparian zone. So there's a balancing act, but we tried to respect the town's bylaw as we have in the past with regards to this project. We do show erosion control barriers around the development. We do show the limits of clearing on here, trying to minimize the limit of clearing as much as we can to get the construction of the house in here, and then also the construction of the system, but minimizing the rest of the work within the resource areas. I can answer any questions that the commission has at this point, and like I said, it's other than that, it's fairly simple. Other than like I said, the work within the resource areas.
Jack, you had your hand up?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Mike and I had a chance to walk the property this past weekend. There are concerns. Essentially, the first is the intermittent stream. There was a pipe underneath that drive area, the intended drive area. The stream was flowing. Interested to see how you plan on handling that in terms of erosion controls, and what will that pipe look like? Because
we are not looking to touch that pipe. We're not looking to do any real grading over that crossing. We're looking to keep the grade of that crossing the same as it is now.
Right. But you're putting gravel on and you're putting some tar over that. You're not going to interfere with that pipe at all?
That's the intent there, is not to touch that pipe.
Okay, so you're leaving it intact. Okay, yes. The next question was essentially we went further up the hill, and of course we ran into the tributary of the Mulpus Stream, and it was running very, very well. I'm interested to see how close you're going to, we've got a 200-foot buffer, right? And I just not able to totally understand your map. And for that matter, I'm not seeing the river located on your drawing.
So we show top of bank shots. So if you can see TB2, TB3, all the way through.
Top of bank?
Yep.
That's the river, okay.
So that's the edge of that's the project side of the river.
Okay.
And so that's what we had flagged for that. And then we also have the wetland flags associated with the top of bank, which is closer to the development. And so off of the wetlands, we show the 30-foot no disturbance zone, no touch zone, and then also the 50-foot no build zone.
So where's the 200-foot?
So the 100-foot goes through the building, and the 200-foot is where Richard's cursor is.
Way out there.
100-foot Jack right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the majority of the sites within the riverfront, there's not a lot of room not in the riverfront. The only portion that's not in the riverfront is really that small stem in the front of the property close to Country Road. And so that's when we were looking at the site. There's really no way to site anything out of the riverfront.
That's your problem. That's the problem.
That is the problem on this property.
That is the problem. And now you're asking us to waiver not only the 200-foot, but also the 100-foot buffer. Would that be correct?
We're not asking you for the waiver. We're looking to fall under, like I said, it's right in the Rivers Protection Act with regards to the allowance to do work to construct a single-family home, a septic system, and a driveway on a lot recorded prior to August 7th, 1996.
Right. But there's
it's right in the Rivers Protection Act that they put that date in there because that's the date of the Rivers Protection Act.
Fully understand, but there was no requirement that we allow a 2,300 square foot home in that within the 100 feet anyway. There's nothing there. Mr. Chairman, I'll back off, but I believe that because something was identified that you could put something in there, it doesn't mean you can put something in as large as you want. Would that be correct?
Yeah, I think it's to the best extent practicable, where it is a lot that was developed prior to the regulation being, or the Wetlands Protection Act, the law being put in place.
Yeah, I believe there were prior attempts because there are a number of excavation holes as related to septic systems, and I believe they've been around for a while too. So I don't know. It's just that now I'm now I'm violating my own 100-foot rule, even though a lot of these lots in the past had existed prior to the law coming into effect. So I'm feeling, okay, the 200 feet, okay, I can get that part because it would be difficult on both sides. And I'm wondering if that's perhaps why nothing ever was done previously. But now we're talking 100 feet, and now you're talking even, well within that 100-foot. And I'm not sure which is the 50-foot buffer line, but I'm thinking that we're too close and we need to come up with another configuration. Okay, and I will stop and listen.
Well, two things I will say is the provision is there to protect any lot that was in existence prior to the Rivers Protection Act.
Yeah.
And it doesn't specify that you can't do work in the 100-foot riparian zone.
Our bylaws
or the 200-foot riparian zone for lots created before 1996. It has that allowance for that to do a house, and it doesn't specify in there what the size of a house can or can't be. Now, this isn't.
You're more subject to the laws of the town at that particular point.
Well, we're trying to respect your 30-foot no touch zone and also your 50-foot no build zone to the wetlands is what we're doing on this site. So if you want it to be further away from the perennial stream in the back, we would ask that we could move the house closer to the wetlands in the front so that we can, further protect the river in the back. But that being said, I'm just trying to find the section, and I know there's a section in here also that talks about, and I want to make sure I get the wording correctly. So what we were looking at, and I don't know if when you're walking the property on the back of the house, there's a ridge line,
right,
that separates where the back of the house is in the stream.
Okay.
And so when we're looking at siting this house, what we're trying to do is, and you can kind of see we're proposing a swale in the back of the house.
Okay.
On top of the system. And so what we were trying to create there was in similar to what it talks about. So the wording on the section here is proposed work which does not meet the requirements may be allowed if the applicant can provide an undisturbed vegetation with an overall width or length of 100 feet. And so what we were trying to provide there was a swale of a length of 100 feet from the back of the house to the stream. Because there is that knoll in the back that we're not looking to cut down, it's actually going to create a swale of 100 feet for that water to have to run before it reaches the stream. So yes, we are doing work within 100 feet of the stream, but there is still about 100-foot
Okay, so
if not greater length of a run there in the back of the property for that water that comes off the back of the house to run before it reaches the stream. And so that's another thing that we're looking at in the back to create that swale to provide for that.
So I'm most sensitive, and I'm speaking for myself, not for the whole committee. I'm most sensitive to the mulpus itself. And at the same time, that intermittent stream does eventually join up with this particular part of the mulpus stream. If you can somehow look at turning it sideways a bit, and I wouldn't have a problem with you going into the 100-foot on the left-hand side. I would consider that because I think it would have less of an impact.
So I have a question with that. So
yeah,
if we were to, and we looked at a number of different options on this. So my question for that is, would you be willing to waive from the 50-foot no build zone to allow for a greater length from the perennial stream in the back? I guess, because if we're going to play around with the rotation of the house, it's either going to be we're getting into the town's 50-foot no build, and then some of the disturbance in the 30-foot no buffer, no touch zone to the wetlands in the front of the property in exchange for us moving it further out of the riparian zone to the stream in the back. And that's where, again, the site is difficult because we have the two different resource areas on both sides of the house. It's not like we're you know, if there was only one resource area, obviously we could push it further out of the 100-foot riparian zone and not have an issue. And so it's really, I would leave it up to, you know, yourself and the rest of the commission members to tell us which you want to protect more of.
Well, we'd like, okay, I'm speaking for myself. I'd rather protect both. And so I don't know if I really need a 2,300 square foot house. Or could it be reconfigured?
Well, the intent is it's for a single story living. To the majority of the living is single story living. So the person that's building the house wants it to be there so that when they're older, they can stay there. They don't have to move to a different house later on. And make it a 2-story house. And realistically, a 33-foot wide house or a 28-foot wide, wide house, it's pretty standard nowadays. It's, most of the houses that are being built are a minimum of 30 feet wide. And so on one end, we're showing 28 feet and the other end, we're showing 33 feet. So that, any other type of standard house that you're seeing built nowadays is not much smaller than what we're showing here. But
Right. Hey, Jack, I had a couple quick questions if you were done for right now.
Sure. I'm sorry, mister. Go ahead, Rich.
Okay. Wes?
I think, did we lose him?
We may have. Let's take a look. Wes, are you with us?
I don't see him. He may have kicked out.
You may have kicked out. So, you had your hand up, Matt. What's up?
Well, Jack, I just wanted some clarification
Yeah.
on what you're talking about with respect to the 100-foot.
The 100 foot away from the mulpus. I know we're supposed to stay at 200 feet, but I know in the past we've allowed a little past 100, but only because it was already something that had already been done.
Right, but I don't mean to sound like I'm defending the applicant. I'm just reciting the regulation. Okay. The regulation specifically states maximum extent practicable. So if he can, show that, then the work within the 100 feet is allowable under the Rivers Bill. There's nothing in our bylaw that closes that out.
Right.
Bylaw is silent to it. Bylaw only reflects the standards in the River Protection Act.
Doesn't the regulation reflect 200 feet?
It reflects the 200-foot, it recognizes the 200-foot riparian zone.
Right, so it gives us
But
jurisdiction.
it doesn't close out any exemption.
Right,
No,
but it gives us jurisdiction within 200 feet,
Yeah,
right?
Jack.
Yeah,
It recognizes the state act as written. There are no further exemptions
Mhm.
in our bylaw other than the act itself as written. So like the Wetlands Protection Act goes so far, and then our 30 and 50-foot
we kick
no
it.
build and no disturbance zone are in excess of the act.
Mhm.
Our bylaw does not have any such exemptions or requirements
Right.
towards a Rivers Front Act.
That is correct. And just to let you know, Wes just sent me a text message.
Yep, I'm
He's
not-
logging back
Yeah, I
in.
just let him
I'm back in. For some reason, the internet just kicked me out for a second there. Sorry about that.
There you go.
Hey, Jack, I
It
do
must
have
be
a
that
question.
high-quality Alien Ward internet.
That's
Hey, Jack,
Yeah?
I do have a question where you and Mike went out on site.
Mhm.
Right here between wetland flags 5 and 6 on either side of the cart path,
Yeah.
is the wetland that defined?
It's essentially a little bit of an esker all the way up. I have,
Okay.
Matt, you have some pictures. Can you put those up?
I don't have any pictures of it, Jack. I can
Oh.
tell you that my walking the site, it's essentially a well-defined cart path on top of an
Yeah.
existing esker, yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's well-defined. There's no wetland filling. The flagging over there is abrupt because it stops. There was a culvert set up on that years and years ago. It's very old.
Yeah. Oh, it is. It is very old.
Yeah.
I'm wondering when it's going to collapse. Yeah, I didn't have a problem with the width of the driveway, Rich. There'll be some big pines that end up coming down. They're a little bit up the hill, so I wasn't too worried about that. Other than that, I didn't see too much of a problem with the driveway. Mike, you're there, right? You,
Yes, I'm there. I sort of, go along with what everyone has been saying. I realize the rule's the rule. I had a question about whether that dumping site was on this property or was it beyond this property?
Say that again, Mike?
There was a dumping site either on the right-hand side of this property,
yeah.
or had I crossed over to the other side?
Is that something you're familiar with, Wes?
I'm trying to call it up now, and I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't show up. There was a,
You look like some old trucks that are all rusted out and tires, and looks like it's been a dumping ground for a long time. So I was just curious to see if it was on that particular site, given that some of the markers were not that clear of whether we had gone over through the
far, yeah.
site or whether or not it was on that site. So
Hey, Rich, I can give you pictures if you give me the screen. I don't know if I'll be able to return it to you, but
Is this what you're talking about here, Mike?
possibly.
Was it that close to the road?
It was closer to the Mulpus.
So it
The
would have been out
stream.
this side?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not seeing much.
yeah, and I don't remember.
tree covered.
Something we can put in just as special conditions also, if we move forward tonight, any dumping or debris to be removed.
Yeah, I don't think the client would have an issue with that.
So you think it's out in the back here, Mike? Because this is Mulpus.
Yes. Yeah, if you're looking at the building, I thought it was on the far right side.
Was it flat or was it hilly where you saw him? Just because it's a fairly good grade going up here and then dropping back down.
I think it was right where it started going down.
Okay.
It did. It was, Michael. Mike.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we can make a notation if we move forward, so.
Mhm.
Hey, Wes, I did have a quick question on the house.
Sure.
If we took the garage, slid it east, and then took the house and slid the house so that the garage would be on the end of it instead of on the side of it, that puts the majority of your house in between the 50 and the 100-foot riparian.
Yeah, some of it. There is a porch on the front there, though.
Now, is it a covered porch? What are we looking for here?
It is. It's a. There is a roof to it.
Okay. So we'll probably eliminate that and just have just the stairs going up to the front.
Yeah, so I'll have to. I don't know if.
Because that would alleviate quite a bit of the angst, I think, if we move, it looks like we can probably move 15 feet. And at 30 feet, that's about what you've got in the riparian zone in the back. The
Or at least some
deck
of
in
it,
the
yeah.
back, is the deck in the back going to be covered?
No.
Okay. So I personally don't have anywhere near as much of a problem with an open deck in the back in the 100-foot inner riparian. But like I say, that gets most of the house out. And honestly, if you slide your garage, you're going to be entering it from the front. So that's going to take this chunk of driveway and slide it further from the wetlands as well.
Right.
A suggestion. And my other concern, but they said that these two wetland lines were pretty straight in that area. And we've got the force main coming up. Are you still before the Board of Health on the system?
System's already been approved.
Okay, system's been approved.
Yeah. So somebody else had done the system before for the homeowners or the landowners.
Okay,
And so they had done that before and they had it approved.
okay. Yeah, but that, I mean, that would move quite a bit. That moves the tanks back in a bit. You can move your edge of disturbance back in a bit. And that really alleviates quite a bit in 100-foot. And move right up to the 50. Because at least at that point, you're still outside of the no-build zone. But that certainly gets quite a bit of it out of the inner riparian.
Right.
So that would be my suggestion.
Okay.
Katie, we have not heard from you.
I was just curious. I know it's a fairly wooded site. I was just wondering to Wes, ballpark how many trees you are removing, and if there is a replanting plan in effect yet.
I don't know the number of trees. In regards to the replanting, I'm not sure. I said we tried minimizing as much as we could, but where the septic system in, there will be no other trees planted. That slope on the back of the house is going to be fairly steep.
Yep.
So there won't be anything planted there. So if anything, it would be anything over on the side of the house that maybe a couple of trees would be planted. But at this point, nothing's planned. Like I said, most of it's going to have some slope to it, so it's going to end up being grass.
Okay.
Matt?
There's no work proposed in the 30-foot, right? You're not expanding that driveway in?
Just the driveway coming in. We're changing the grade after where the basically the wetlands end. We're changing the grade there, just steepen it up a little bit on both ends.
Okay, but you're working within the existing right-of-way?
We're looking to work within, and then obviously we got to get the conduit, the electric and telephone and so forth out there.
Right, but that's going to be within the existing right-of-way.
It should be within this, yeah. They'll have to.
So you're not planning on removing any trees in the 30-foot zone?
I don't know if there'll be smaller stuff that may have to be. Like I said, I'm not sure what they're gonna have to do for the conduit there. So the driveway is being widened. So existing, it's about 9 to 10 feet at some points. We're looking to.
Uh-oh, Wesley froze again.
Oops. All right.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Jack.
Well, while we're waiting here, I like what you're saying with regard to flipping around a little bit and moving the garage over. The tanks, I don't think they have to be there. I think you can move the tanks over to the other side of the house, not on the full side. Well, yeah, you could, but take the tanks out of there. There's no disruption, and you're outside of anything showing up in terms of the 50. Well, yeah, if you move the tanks way over.
You're talking about putting the tanks here on the west side?
That'd be correct, yes. You're pumping it uphill no matter what.
Yeah, you can certainly ask him.
When he comes back, he'll be back.
Well, I would assume that part of the reason for the placement of the tanks would be for what's proposed for the interior structure of the house. So the way the rooms and the bathrooms are situated, plumbing is usually centrally located. So moving that might be impractical. You might have to, you'd wind up probably redesigning the whole house, which would change the whole configuration around. I'd be more looking to maybe sealing off the land in the back.
Well,
I mean, I walked that
Matt,
site,
we are moving around.
the area that he's working in, it's pretty decent. I wouldn't want to see the house move closer to the wetland in the front because in front of the stone wall, there's a scattering of American chestnut trees, which are actually, they're not rare, but they're not common around Lunenburg. Not that I've seen anyway. Not the American variety anyway. The back area tends to slope down more to where I saw the blue flags for the high water mark. That area within the 30-foot especially would be the more sensitive area. Probably want to talk to the applicant about maybe just sealing that off.
Matt,
You know, some
Matt,
type
I'm
of
back
restriction.
to, do you have any other questions?
So what I was asking you, Wes, was if you're going to do some cutting in the 30-foot, there's the trees, excuse me, the trees may be a little too small under our bylaw, but you might want to check the placement bylaw out and maybe utilize some of the areas in the front and in the back for doing some replanting.
Okay.
I didn't even think of that until Katie mentioned about tree replacement, and that would apply to a 30-foot. The only area I'm saying that you might have some limited cutting would be where the driveway is. So
Correct. And that's what I wasn't sure about. Like I said, the existing driveway is narrower than what we're proposing. We're proposing a 12-foot driveway. So I'm just not sure if we can get away with trimming some of the canopy to get some of that in there, at least to get some of the work done and not have to touch any of the trees and then let it grow over the driveway as it goes. But
right. I mean, if I was going to do planting replacement, I would probably want to do it in the front of the stone wall here around where I saw the chestnut. And I'd probably want to do it like in the front over here on this side of the wetland where the canopy thins out a lot. You know, it's naturally thin over here. I think you could probably do some scattered plantings. Yeah, exactly. Some scattered plantings without worrying too much about competition. The area in the back by the stream is very heavily canopied. I'm not concerned about that area.
right.
And this is where the house is going, right?
Mr. Chairman, while Wesley was away, we made a suggestion specific to moving the tanks out of their current proposed location to essentially up on the other side of that. Well, it could be on the other side of the house, or it could be a little further uphill. But getting them out of that 50-foot, 100-foot riparian zone. So we'll move the tanks over some and relocate them. Is that a
We can take a look at that. I'll
possibility?
have to take a look at the that slope there and see if we can. I know we have cover requirements,
Mhm.
so I'm not sure if we'll have enough room there to put them on the closest side to the slope there.
Yeah, or you could stick them in the front, one or the other, but essentially get them out of that zone. And that way we won't be digging that
The
up.
problem if you stick them in the front, Jack, if he does move the house, is now you're gonna have them down.
Oh, it's,
almost to
we'd have to
30.
pull them up. So essentially keep them on the side there. See if you can do that, Wesley.
And are you fine with them being? So I was trying to keep them out of the 50-foot no builds, but I can, we might be able to throw them in the front there in the 50-foot no build.
Yeah.
Myself, I'd rather see them, because this is the berm you were talking about right here.
That's the toe of the berm, yeah.
Yeah, so. if you
And so we're
slide the
trying to stay
house-
out of that berm.
If you're able to slide the house 15 feet that way, that's gonna slide these even a little bit further. And this is a fairly well protected spot where you've got the berm,
Right.
because these are going down at 5'11", and you've got the berm up here at 5'12", 5'14". So, your water flow is gonna be this way. So you, like you were saying, you do have quite a little bit before it gets down to the stream.
To the stream there.
And my fear is if you get into here and try to get this any steeper, you're gonna have a hard time getting
Yeah,
that,
maintaining it over,
not
yeah.
a road.
Correct. And that's why we left it like it was, so.
No. So myself, if you can pop the garage, slide the house in behind it, that gets the majority of this. I think, in my mind, that's a pretty good best practicable solution.
Right.
Because you could put a smaller house, but you're not going to get a house really any narrower than 30 feet.
No, and that's what I was saying. That one end is we're at 28 feet, so.
Yeah, as somebody that lives in a 30 by 50 house, you're not going to get it much narrower.
Right.
So, but that's myself, but I'll open it up to any other commissioners. with questions? Any members of the public? Go ahead, Matt.
I just got a text message from Jeff. I've sent him and resent him the links to this meeting that we all use to sign on. And him and Patty are also having trouble. I don't know if Nick Eaton's made it on, but I know he was having trouble signing on. There appears to be problems with some people signing on. Yeah, I see Nick here now, so apparently he made it in. So Jeff's just expressing concern as to whether or not the meeting should continue.
You know, I've let in 5 people and Wes has come back 3 times. So I know Paul Grands I let in, Nick I let in, Richard Tremblay I let in, Ryan I let in. So there's definitely been people coming and going. So I feel pretty confident that it's probably a local issue with them.
Okay, I just promised him I would relay the concern.
Yep. And he's more than welcome to, he can always call in on his phone. He just doesn't have the video. You can call into Zoom if Jeff's listening. All righty, Andrea Adams.
Thank you. I just wanted to be a stinker, essentially. Sorry, because again, from a planning perspective, the board, and I'm not speaking about what the boards in Lunenburg did, do, or don't do, but from a planning perspective, the board has the right, a planning board or a zoning board of appeals has the right to shrink the house in total. They can't mess with the inside per se, because that's not allowed, but you can shrink the spaciousness or move the boxes that make up the habitable space around. And I want to suggest, I don't want to potentially open a can of worms, but one of the things I was looking at was the desire of the applicant to have single floor living, which I think is commendable given that everybody's getting older. However, you can't shrink the width left to right through from like the front porch to the back deck, but you can squeeze from the turnaround side to the slope side. And one of the ways to do that would be to tuck the garage underneath or compress the master suite into the first floor and put any auxiliary rooms on a upper floor, which is what a friend did when he was transitioning into different housing with his wife, because he was in his 60s. Their living space, including their eating, dining, bathing, and sleeping arrangements and other rooms for them to live in, were on one floor, and guest rooms and dens, sort of auxiliary rooms, were in a smaller part that was above the main floor. That way they felt that they had a full single floor living space, but they still had other space available for auxiliary uses like an office or for guests, which could be completely closed off when not in use, including that they had thought it through to build a Jack and Jill bathroom in between the 2 rooms so they could serve as a guest room. This gentleman was the affordable housing specialist at the Cape Cod Commission, so he was planning ahead. And I just want to throw that out more to the petitioner as something that they could do to perhaps address some of the concerns about the length of the house from the turnaround to the sloped side of the property.
Thank you very much, Ms. Adams. Any other questions or comments from the public? Go ahead, Jack.
Okay, thank you. Just to build on Andrea's comment, Leslie, and myself, we put we're on the slope of a hill. We put the garage underneath. We're 70 years old. We are actively looking at pursuing an elevator, believe it or not, 1 story. And actually, that's all I need is, taking me out of the basement up. But there's still elevators and things like that. You can put them in and get them installed for about $40,000. And it adds a lot of access to the house. So if you were to think in terms of multiple stories, that might work as well. In fact, you could get a bigger house in there, and you put your offices in upstairs. Just my
Thank you,
thoughts.
Jack. All right, at this point, I assume, Wes, you're gonna go back and take a look at trying to squeeze the house a little bit more into between the 50-foot no structure zone and 100-foot in a riparian zone?
Yep, I'm gonna take back the comments from the commission tonight
Okay,
to the applicant, regards to the house shape and the orientation of it, and see if we can make something work so that we can pull it further out of the 100-foot riparian zone and push it a little closer to at least the front of the house, a little closer to that 50-foot no build zone. And then also look at where those tanks sit, if we can move that house around a little bit. And, similar, I'll let them know about the dry funder option and see if they're willing to do that also. I know there is some grade difference there, and I'm not sure if changing some of the grades out there will cause more disturbance or less disturbance, but we can definitely take a look at that too and look at those options.
okay. Yeah, I personally had thought about the drive under, but with the 5-foot difference between the height of the first floor and the height of the garage floor, it didn't look like it was practicable. Or you're gonna have your house, you have to add another 3 feet to the first floor.
And that's what we were looking at too, is it was one of those things where it's, you start moving material around in the lot to make it work at that point. So it's just
Yep.
something that, but we can take a discussion with the applicant and see what he says. And then,
Yep. Yeah, because I think at that point, raising it up, you're gonna get a lot more fill and grading around the house.
correct. So it's, we're balancing disturbance in one area for, disturbance in the other area.
Yep. All right. So at this point, we'll let you go with the house reorientation, and then Matt's concern about putting the trees back out in the front or replacing what's taken out in the 30-foot no disturb zone where the driveway's coming in on either side of the wetlands.
Yep.
So with that, with your permission, we'll continue this until I don't have a calendar. Matt, what's first December meeting?
December 1st.
December 1st. So I will accept the motion to continue 41 Country Lane to December 1st.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Mike LaRouche.
Aye.
Aye. Childs.
Aye.
Jack Rabbit.
Aye.
And I for myself. Thank you very much, Wes.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
You too.
Yep.
All right, moving forward. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 is amended, the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on a request for determination by Matthew Butterworth for the placement of a shed within the buffer zone at 188 Whalen Road. And we have anyone here representing or Mr. Butterworth? Are you noticing anybody, Matt?
No, I don't see anyone.
Okay. Give it a second, see if anybody puts their hand up. All right, at this time, we'll accept a motion to continue till later on in the meeting in case somebody shows up.
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call vote. Mike LaRouche,
Aye.
Katie Childs,
Aye.
Jack Rabbit,
Aye.
and I for myself. Moving forward, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 is amended, the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on a request for determination by Randy and Jacqueline LeBlanc for the placement of a shed within the buffer zone at 1390 Lancaster Ave. And do we have anybody here, Randy or Jacqueline?
Randy's here.
All right, Randy.
And actually, so it's a 2-car garage.
Okay. And I think we had continued looking for a little more detail in the plan, which I think Matt worked with you on.
Yes, he did.
So let's see what we've got.
By the way, Rich, just a reminder, on that last meeting, we couldn't have approved tonight because there's no DEP number. So I've sent a text message to Wesley asking him to work on that for the next meeting.
Okay.
So what you see here is based on the site walk that Mike LaRouche and I had. We did tape measurements in the field ourselves. So if you zoom in a little bit on that drawing, Rich, the circle that I have there, essentially what you have, forgive my bad artistry, it's almost as bad as my voice is right now. What you have is a triple stem maple that is right in the middle of a lawn area. And I recommended that he do erosion protection in the form of wattles. You're zooming in on an aerial.
I was gonna just quickly. And what was the address? 1390.
1390 Lancaster.
Okay.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. So what you have is this existing structure is going to be removed. The garage is actually coming up this way more here. And you have a little shed here that's going to be removed. You have a triple stem maple right here. So what I'm recommending is that triple stem maple, you have an arc of erosion protection going out to basically the property line. So in that section, it's rather flat. It's not a very heavy slope. So 6-inch wattles would do just fine. You will notice on the plan, it's divided into 2 lots, but they actually have one. It's actually 1 lot now where I have lawn that's an open portion. The septic system is located on that portion of area. So it looks like they have one heck of a leach field out there. So the closest point to where the proposed garage is from the wetland, because he was kind enough to stake it out for us, is 76 feet from the edge of the wet. So I used the scaling on that plot plan, scaled out the 50 foot, scaled out the 30 foot. There's no work within that. And I can work with the applicant to ensure that the erosion protection does not go within the 50-foot line.
Okay.
There's 3 trees that need to be removed. 2 of them are out of the buffer zone. 1 of them is 96 feet. That one that's 96 feet would be, as you see, the box outline of the garage would basically be right where the corner is in the garage, the closest corner above the 76, where I have the 76-foot arrow drawn.
Mhm.
And then Mike and I measured those trees as well, just to see the distance. So the closest one is 96 feet to the wetland. The remainder of them are out of the buffer zone. I think Mike can confirm the measurements that I'm saying. And with that, I'm going to stop talking because I'm going to start sounding like Darth Vader's kid in a minute.
One quick question on the garage. Is the entrance going to be from the Lancaster Ave side?
Yes,
Okay. So there's not going to be any doors on this side?
Well,
Other
there's
than
gonna
maybe
be
a
one
walk-in
door for the shed.
An entry door?
Mhm.
Okay, but the garage doors will be on the 28-foot side out here.
correct.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions from commissioners? Any members of the public have questions on 1390 Lancaster Ave? All right, the only thing I am going to ask for before Matt gives you the determination to start is to get the plan that you and Matt have drawn up and agreed upon, signed and dated, Randy.
Okay,
So we have, this is the plan that was approved. So we can go back to it at a future date, and make sure that everything lines up.
Okay.
All set with that, Matt? All right, so I will accept a motion for a negative determination to be delivered to the applicants upon receipt of a signed and dated plan.
So moved?
We have a motion by Katie and a second by Mike.
Yes.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Mike LaRouche,
Aye.
Katie Childs,
Aye.
Jack Rabbit,
Aye.
and I for myself. All right, thank you very much.
Oh,
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, moving forward. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 is amended, the Town of Lunenburg Wetland Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on a request for determination by Brian Minor for the demolition of a screened in section of a single-family home within rebuild of an addition within the buffer zone at 35 Peninsula Drive. And do we have an applicant present, Matt?
Hi, I'm Ryan Maliar. I'm a co-owner of 35 Peninsula Drive with Brian Minor. I'm also here with John Tarlack, who's Brian Minor's father.
Okay,
Rich, I do believe you have the PDF of the email that I forwarded everybody because I couldn't get that to cloud.
all right. A PDF. All right, let me just go back and take a quick look.
Let's try site visit part 1, Rich.
Oh, you think that,
That might have been it. When I first started doing the reports, I put them all on one email and loaded them. Now I'm doing them independently with the Word document. It's either site 1 or site 2, but I'm pretty sure it's site 1.
okay, oh,
Is the picture showing up?
I've got.
Yeah, there they are.
photos.
Okay, go to the far left.
Pictures.
Okay,
Oh, boy. Yipes.
Okay, so go to the left one, Rich. Yeah,
Yeah.
and Matt, there was some verbiage with it.
Yeah, Jack, it looks like Rich's email system is working a lot better than the high quality one that Lunenburg gives me. So,
Okay,
and by the way, just for the record, we are switching to an Outlook format. Let me see. Let me look for your narrative.
okay, I can read it if you'd like.
where are we? 35
Yeah,
Peninsula?
35 Peninsula. And if you put the picture back up, Rich. Yeah, okay. The one that I can explain a little better.
Oh, here we go. So we've got, this is the
Right.
porch in the picture you had, was this right here with the ghost hanging off of
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Okay. And
We
this is
went
the
out.
addition we're looking to put right here?
Yeah, Mike and I went out to visit the site
Yeah,
and did some measurements.
okay,
And the house foundation to the water's edge, the high water mark, is 52 feet.
of the screen porch foundation or the house foundation?
The house foundation itself,
Okay,
the screen porch is 37 feet from
Okay.
the water's edge. And additionally, they're proposing that they would add another, you can see it, the other section, the 80 by 20 section.
mm-hmm,
And I'm thinking that the 80 by 20 versus the 8 by 16, they were talking about extending it further towards the lake. I just wasn't sure what that final number was. But in either case, you've got 52 feet, you've got an existing porch that takes it down to 32 feet, 37 feet. And so the proposal would be to add that addition.
into the 50-foot no build
Yes,
zone, okay.
right.
All right. Brian, does that sound about right?
Yeah, that's correct. We're just looking to square off the house, like just like you see in the drawing there. We're looking to rebuild that screen porch and then to just extend straight along along the house.
All right, so at least from the eyes of the current regulations, you can rebuild the screen porch because that is currently existing.
Yeah.
But the additional structure that you're trying to put here would be within our no structure zone, which would generally eliminate the ability to add a structure in there. I had some pictures of the. All right, so you're saying, Jack, this green line here is actually about
And that-
50 feet?
That's 50 feet, and the screen house, which I didn't show up, is essentially 37, existing right now is 37 feet.
It was 52 feet, you said, to
52 feet.
the,
I'm sorry, 52, excuse me.
52 to this section of the house.
That's
Correct.
Guided section, okay.
Yeah, 52.
Okay.
And the front of that porch goes out to 37 feet to the water's edge.
Now, is it a porch slab that the porch is on?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so like I say, that's an existing structure, so that can easily just be permitted and replaced because it is a solid roof on the top. It is a concrete base. Can be redone in place. But the problem's going to be allowing this added part here, at least on the front of the house. I don't know, Jack, if you guys chatted at all about any possibilities of, or different possibilities for the house?
We did not, because it gets towards discussion, which we're not allowed to really have. But no, we didn't. There were some options, I believe, in terms of if they wanted to put some sort of a patio out there without a cover, permeable. But I purposely tried to avoid that because I don't want to get any conflict of interest going here, or open meeting law violations specifically.
All right, moving through the commission. Mike, do you have any comments on the design as presented?
I sort of see that the rule just looks like it makes it not a dual project, just because of, I could see where the existing pad is. They could do pretty much anything they would like there. And there was some talk about, making the screen porch smaller and then opening up part of that screened in area as part of the renovation. But without a foundation going to the end of the house, it's a very small addition that would be allowed.
Hmm.
All right. Katie.
Here. I mean, personally, I can go either way on this issue, but it looks to me it's a already disturbed area, going away from the lake. I'd be in favor of it. I'd say it's already disturbed, but I'm one voice.
Can you put that picture up again? I don't recall that proposed area being disturbed.
It looks like it's disturbed to me. It's just kind of dirt and there's no trees there.
Yeah,
I could be wrong, but yeah, it's not really. It's not. I shouldn't say disturbed as in paved or anything, but there's no trees existing. There's no lawn. It's just kind of.
So you would support increasing the impermeability, Katie?
I guess when you put it that way. Sorry, I'm like half asleep right now.
No, that's okay. That's okay. No, that's what we're all about.
I've had a long day. No, you make a good point, Jack. Yeah, no, I would not be in favor. You're correct. I would not want to increase the permeability of that area.
Yeah.
You are correct.
Thank you.
I'd be enough.
No, Katie, I do that all the time. Don't worry about it. It's
I'm
part
not
of
awake
this.
right now.
Yeah.
All right, so as you've presented it, it looks like you can certainly add on to this side of the house.
No, that's bordering too close. Would we have to get permits with our neighbors or, I don't know.
Yeah, it's too close to the neighbor's lot line. There's not enough room
Setbacks.
to add on. That's-
Setbacks.
And have we
So
cut down any
basically, we're not
trees
looking
in
to
this
add
area?
anything. We're not looking to go any closer to the water line, the high water line.
Yeah,
And
it's
there's
not
already
that,
a
it's
foundation of
impermeability.
a slab there. We're just looking to extend to the right side. And as we
You can't.
extend to the right side, that's going to be even further from the high water line.
I think you had it, Rich. 35 Peninsula.
Yeah. So can we do it on the other side? Unfortunately, it looks like, did we cut down some trees in this area? Because I don't even see the house. And I know that house has been there forever.
No, there's two houses on the lot. Go down a bit. I think it's, I don't know. It should be right there.
Yeah, because this is 35. No, maybe it's 39.
Yeah.
That's 39.
Okay. Why did I say 35? Because that's what the agenda said. Okay.
Good 35. Yeah.
Nope.
30.
So you do have quite a bit of space out in the back, or,
That's going right to where our septic is if we go towards the back.
okay. Well, I'm open to other suggestions. Unfortunately, I know myself, I'm not really big on adding into the no structure zone.
We were optimistic here, having taken many kayak rides around the lake and seeing so many properties that are right there on the water that are really coming up to the water's edge. And here is a camp with a very small footprint built in the 1950s. And we're trying our best to bring it back to life, a property that hasn't been touched since it was built, essentially. And we're just trying to make it a livable space with an 8x20 addition. We were really optimistic here.
I'm open to other suggestions from commissioners, or at this point, we can continue and you can work with Matt a little bit to see if we can come up with some other ideas.
Because I know we can, it's 52 feet, but a 2-foot addition isn't worth the hassle.
Because the other option that I see open is we have 128 feet here that we can try to add the 2 feet you've got, and then take some of that square footage and add it in as well.
You're talking about decreasing the slab, the 8x16
The screen porch, yeah,
area.
and adding
Decreasing that
so that we
area.
don't have, so we have a net zero of impervious surface added in the no structure zone.
Yeah, it almost doesn't make sense. The 8x, the others, if the slab's already there, would have to,
Yeah,
Mr. Chairman, the 8-foot is pretty narrow.
mm-hmm.
It'd be tough. But certainly could add a beautiful a deck area, open deck area.
well, it's just the reason for the addition because the actual living space isn't quite that large, and that to accommodate the kitchen / living area, it's small as it is. That's why we thought adding the 8 feet out would, and it's one floor, so it's a small living space.
It's a classic 20 by 30.
I suppose at this point, if we can just continue and try to work on it a little bit more and present something for the next meeting. Trying to stay out of the 50-foot no structure.
But
Yeah.
to demolish and rebuild the 8x16, we don't need to seek any permits for that. You're saying that's a given, right?
You still need a request for determination approval for that. So I mean, if you wanted to move forward with that tonight, we can give approval for the rebuild of the screen porch.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can move forward with other designs for expanding the kitchen.
Mhm.
If you want to do it that way. Then at least you can get started on the screen porch.
What if we decide that the screen porch would no longer become screen porch and it would become part of the, maybe we can build that into maybe being part of the kitchen area and leaving the other space that's there as just a living space.
The mud.
So,
Yeah, so where this has a solid roof and a solid floor,
right,
in my opinion, you can side it in, close it in and make a room out of it. I
okay.
myself don't have any problems. I don't know if anybody else
I'd have no
speak
problem.
up now, but like I say, I mean, that has a solid roof on it, that has a solid floor on it, so there's no more intrusion if you closed it in.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, we'd like to seek approval for that,
Right.
but we'd like to continue perhaps if we can speak with Matt in the interim about any possible options that might be available for the addition.
Hi, Rich, it's Jeff here.
Yes,
Another option, if the kitchen is on the right side of the house, they could just demo that whole screen porch and build a new section on the other side of the house. Just using that kind of same footprint, just shifting it to the right on your screen there, if that works
well,
with
to
the
the right of
kitchen.
the house, Jeff, is out of the 50 foot. So they can pretty much do whatever they want to the right of the house. It's the face of the house that's inside the 50.
Well, I guess where they're saying proposed addition, they can
Yes.
dismantle that porch and slide it all the way to the top of your screen there.
Yep, they can take this 8x16 and put it over here.
Put it over there and then
Mhm.
just kind of put some kind of, as long as that's, stays, they don't put a roof or anything over it. They could put a deck where it says screen porch and then proposed addition. They could put an addition, I would think.
Yep.
Yeah, good idea.
So
So
that is
that-
an option. You can get an 8x16 off of the kitchen and then just have a patio here.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think we're better off if we get approval for the 8x16 that's already there. It's got an existing slab
Mhm.
that already it's at the same level of the rest of the house. And it's got a solid roof. I mean, we would obviously change the roof pitch to match what's already there, the existing.
Yeah,
part.
so you'd have it run, instead of running in towards the lake, you'd have it run away.
Right,
Right.
would have it run away.
Oh.
Yeah, that was the original. If you look at the pitch, the old pitch, the addition was gonna mimic what's already there. We were gonna take that so it would run off to the left and to the right, not towards the lake,
Okay,
right there. Yeah, it would go from there to the left.
that's fine.
Right.
Yep, so you're gonna raise the roof up this way.
Yeah, we'll mimic
close
what's
it in.
already
Mimic that.
there, right.
Okay. And you do understand what Jeff's saying. I mean, you could just take this whole room and slide it down towards the kitchen too.
Yeah, but I think where there is a little bit of a mudroom, we may be able to fit the kitchen area into that, and then just that takes the kitchen / living in the 12x25. We can leave that as living space and make this 8x16 part of the kitchen.
Okay,
Good. Yeah,
all right, so we'll move forward with a determination for just rebuilding the screen porch and denying the addition in this spot. Sound good?
Okay, thank you.
And then you can
Thank you.
work a little bit, see if we can get something on either side or on the back.
Yeah.
All right, any questions or comments from commissioners?
I like it.
Questions or comments from the public? Andrea Adams.
Just as a planning matter, how close are you to your neighbor?
18.
It's the 18 feet, I believe, but it's really full of brush. We'd have to take down
Yeah.
a lot of trees there. It's a very,
Right, I'm not asking that. I'm asking what the setback is over there, whether you're encroaching from a zoning perspective. I'm completely off the conservation thing. So, do you have enough space
for the 8x20.
to move it? I'm not talking about you want to hack down the vegetation, but just from a zoning perspective. Can you get it over there?
10-foot side setback.
Yeah,
But I
no, we
could be
can't.
wrong.
That's why we were trying to put it out in front. and
Yeah, we
again,
No, I
can't
hear you.
extend any further that
Right.
way. No.
Yeah, okay. So you're constrained.
Yes.
And I had the same idea of rearranging the blocks, because as they said, it's a net zero. And then you'd have a pass through from the existing kitchen where you'd have all the utilities, potentially where you wouldn't have to go this way from the corner of the kitchen into what the porch is, but that's entirely up to you.
Okay.
But that works. And then permeable pavers or something and that's up to the board, would give you some additional outdoor space where you want it.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving forward, I'll accept a motion for negative determination on the rebuild of the 8x16 screen porch and a denial of the proposed addition.
It was a positive, not a negative, for the rebuild of the screen porch.
Oh, negative means that it's not in violation of the Wetlands Protection Act.
Oh, thank you.
Reversed.
Strike that, reverse.
It's backwards from what you think.
Yeah. It'll take us all a while to get used to that one.
So I will accept a motion to that.
So moved.
We have a motion
Second.
from Mike and a second from Jack. Roll call vote, Mike LaRouche,
Aye.
Katie Childs,
Aye.
Jack Rabbit,
Aye.
Jeff Viviano,
Aye.
and I for myself. Thank you very much. And if you have any other questions, Matt can answer them for you when his voice comes back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Have a good night. Moving forward, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 is amended in the Town of Lunenburg Wetland Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on a request for determination by Ray Clothier, the reconstruction of an existing footpath and placement of a temporary screen house within the buffer zone at 37 Pearl. And I see Ray is here. And I believe there was a site visit done.
That's correct.
Okay. You want
Rich,
to
if
bring
you
us up
stay
to
with the
speed?
same pictures that you had, that they're in there, probably starts to go to the third one over, second, third over. Yeah. Again, I didn't realize you couldn't separate them. No, the wrong house. There you go. Okay, what we had observed.
Rich, I was able to put that one on the cloud too, by the way.
Good.
Excellent. Thank you, Matt. Okay, what we did observe, Rich, committee, is that the distance from the water to this wall, the new wall that you're looking at right now, that sits right in front of the graded area, it was 12.5 feet. The distance from the water to the back end of the regrade was 28 feet. And essentially there's some other pictures, but that's the issue in question is, this regrading of the area was within the 30-foot no touch.
Okay.
Additionally, there was a new walkway extended, and Mike is pointing to the grading, but there's a new walkway that was extended from the back stairs down to the water's edge and to the older back retaining wall. And then the next one, I think, Rich, I believe we included that.
No, I think that's all I got.
That's all you got. Okay, there's also, you know what? They didn't show up. They were there, but they didn't show up. I don't know why it didn't carry. But anyway, there's also a new shed that had been recently added, a plastic shed. And it's approximately 8 feet from the water's edge. Yeah,
No, that's the same picture, Jan.
Yeah. Yeah, they go to the cloud for that one, I guess. So, yeah, there's the shed as well.
And where is the shed now?
The shed, if you were looking coming down the new pathway, and if you go to the top of the screen or to the left of that, there's a shed that's sitting right up towards the edge of the property line, right in there.
Okay. When did that go in?
You'd have to ask our.
That was just about 2 years ago.
Okay. And do we have that on a plan?
No, it's one of these plastic, I don't know how to describe it. It's a little plastic shed that can be emptied out and picked up and moved, I guess, if it has to be moved somewhere.
Okay. Did you verify the dimensions, Jack, on the 30? You said
Yes, Mike and I.
28 was here.
The dimensions, okay, let me see where you've got, that's the flattened area. There's a wall now in front of that flattened area, newly flattened area. And that distance from the wall to the front existing retaining wall was 12.5 feet. I believe that's a new wall as well, sir?
Yes.
Yeah, and then the distance to the back existed, the graded area was 28 feet.
Did you happen to go back here?
We did not. We only measured to the back end of the grading.
Okay.
I'm pretty confident that the existing patio is outside of the 30. And I believe the other wall has been there for quite a while, the back wall.
The wall on the right of that picture, right up against the water, has been existing for a long time, yes.
Yeah. And the one that's closest to your house as well. Those have been there for quite a while.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The entire property, the grass area is, I don't know, 30, 35 feet total. So we tried to find the best and flattest area to put up a screen room, basically, to sit out there without the bugs. And that was the only spot that was in the ad. Basically, we could do that.
All right. And Mr. Clothier,
Yes.
is this pile still here?
Yes.
And is that concrete underneath it?
Yes.
Okay. I guess for myself, I would like to see, I really had wished you'd ask for permission rather than forgiveness on the walkway. I mean, there were some stones there, but we're a long way from just some stones in the grass.
Yeah.
But as a general rule, we have allowed 3-foot walkways down through there for safety reasons and to stop erosion. So I would not be in favor of making you take out the main part of the walkway. As to this flat spot here that we're looking to just put up a little screen tent, I think that can be regraded without this wall here. I think we can just take the wall out, regrade up, and then have a flattened spot with some grass, and then put a temporary screen house on top of it.
Okay.
In my mind, temporary means you have a grass base underneath.
It can be removed as needed.
Yep. Yeah. And I would myself like to see the shed be pushed out to the 50 feet from the water. Or it can go on this concrete pad here as the concrete's already in place.
Rich, if you go back to the.
Go back further, I think you get out of the. Yeah, that's not it. As you go back further, you get out of the 50-foot no structure zone.
Yeah, Rich, if you go back to the picture where Mike was standing there pointing, you can see that there's a flat area, flat pad back there. And in fact, it looked like it would accommodate the screen house that was intended.
Around here. Okay, yeah, this is it here.
Yeah.
Okay,
And if you notice in the corner right by the tree, there's a flat area. And
Yep.
you're able to better see it by going back to the, I hate to drag you back there, but Mike is standing on an area that would accommodate that. And we could go back to grass. There you go.
okay.
If you saw that, what looks like a wall behind him is actually a concrete bench
Mhm.
that
Okay.
loops around to the fireplace.
Mhm.
And there's a table that's right there underneath the white pole. The white pole's behind the concrete bench. The table is on that patio area. That I guess we put out chairs like that and everything. It's just a matter of the screen room would have taken up all of that space, and we would be limited to either in the screen room or out. So that's why we're looking to put the screen room out in the grass area.
Or the grass area behind that bench where Mike is standing, that where your chairs are right now. But
Yeah.
there's also, remember, we stopped the line at 30 feet. If you were to put a tent up to the 30-foot line and somehow jockeyed it around and potentially threw gravel in there, you might be able to fit the tent. But I'm
Okay.
just throwing that out. I didn't do measurements to confirm that.
And just as a side note, the on the left of that picture right there, the deck kind of overhangs the lattice work. The lattice is pitched inward. That is actually where the drain field is on the septic.
Okay.
It goes across the front of the house there, the existing septic. So I was trying to stay away from things like that when I picked that location for the flattened area for the screen room.
Well, I think with just some minor regrading, you can get this flat enough if you wanted to put a screen hut on it.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with that, but unfortunately the wall doesn't
want me to
really
take
need
the-
to be there. And
Okay.
where it's a violation can come out, and I think with just some minor grading and seeding,
right.
you can flatten out the upper area there. And again, you can put anything you want on top of the concrete.
Okay.
That's not an issue there, and then get the deck back 50 feet.
Yep. Okay.
Mike, do you have anything to offer?
I think those are real reasonable recommendations.
Okay, thank you. Katie?
Yeah, I think they sound good. Good recommendations.
Jeff?
Oh, that all seems fair to me.
Okay, and I think this was Jeff's picture here that showed some of the step, the stone going up. So there was evidence that people walked there. So thank you for sending that in, Jeff.
No problem.
Is that everybody? Katie, Matt, Jeff? Matt, did you have anything to add?
No, I agree. I agree. The wall could come out. It's not like it's a huge structure. He's going to have to grade anyway. So, pull the wall out and do everything else. I think he'll be fine. And Jeff, glad to see you.
I finally got the sign in. Yeah. Not sure what was happening there.
All right, so at this point, I think a motion for a negative determination to grade the area flat where he's looking to put the screen porch. Take the wall out, add soil as needed to grade this out. The area needs to be stabilized and seeded. And remove this little section of walkway here, so you just have the main walk going down from the stairs to the water, and moving the shed 50 feet from the water. Does that sound like I've covered everything?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, I will accept the motion for negative determination with those additions?
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Mike, and a second, Jeff. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, roll call vote. Mike,
Aye.
Katie,
Aye.
Jack,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
and I for myself. All right, if you have any questions, right, just chat with Matt in the office,
Yes,
and he will
Thank you.
get that written up and sent out to you. Thank you very much. Have a good
Thank you.
evening.
you too. Thanks.
Moving forward. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 is amended, the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws. We will hold a public meeting on a request for a notice of intent by Proctor Masonry for work at 203 Fire Road 16 for the construction of replacement retaining walls and the removal of trees affecting the current wall. And do we have anybody here?
I don't see anyone here. Just a quick question.
Yeah,
Did we actually approve him at the last meeting? I had a note that said continued, but we lost the videotape, so I couldn't verify.
you know, that was kind of my thought when I was reading the agenda, was we had approved it, but I'll like to see that seconded by another member.
Yeah, I would second that, Rich. I believe we had approved it, and I was wondering why we hadn't. We were waiting for a DEP number or something, but I clearly remember we had said, yeah.
No, there's a DEP number that's been
Yeah,
issued.
no, there's a
Yeah, so I don't know
number,
why it would still be there, but
But at this point, that was an approved hearing, so it won't happen. Moving forward, pursuant to Mass
Just so
General Law.
you know, Rich, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yep.
I am doing a backup recording of this meeting.
Mhm.
The last meeting, apparently the recording file that Cable Access had got corrupted. So I'm just going to do a backup recording from now on, just in case that happens again.
Great. Thank you, Matt.
gosh, and that was my best showing.
Moving forward, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 is amended, the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on a notice of intent by Mass Pleasant LLC will be held, where proposed is construction of a 6-lot subdivision, roadway, utilities, and a proposed wetland crossing at 101 Pleasant Street. And I did happen to see Paul. I've asked to unmute.
Yes.
All right, let me bring up what we've got, and we'll go from there. And is this the up-to-date plan we've got? Common Drive? Hey, we no longer have a 6-lot subdivision, huh?
Well, we went from 6 to
Less.
4. And we were seeking, we asked for a waiver, actually 2 different waivers, in order to minimize our wetland impact. And we could not get a favorable vote from the planning board to reduce the right-of-way width to lessen our impact. So we went from 4-lot subdivision road down to it's an A&R. The planning board actually signed the A&R last week, or Monday night rather. So it's an A&R. It has a shared driveway coming in. It comes down the lot line as their regulation requires. So it substantially decreases the wetlands impact and all of the site work. And what we have done here with this plan, in order to avoid the elaborate storm drainage system that we had on the previous set of plans, we have set this up to stay under an acre of disturbance. And that way we don't have to get into the, the stormwater bylaw, which causes just a massive additional land disturbance in order to meet all the requirements. So that's it. It's we're proposing to do the replication. We had multiple replication areas before. We now just have one area, and it's in an area that is it's well suited to the replication. Not a lot of big trees in there. Whereas before, our replication, as soon as we got into the site here, a couple 100 feet in, we were going to start replicating, and we were going to have to wipe out so many massive, 12 to 24-inch pine trees and things like that. Now we can just leave them alone, basically.
And so where is the replication area?
If you pan over to the right a little, not the other way, sorry. And then down a little bit. Yep. You'll see it up there. We're proposing 2 for 1.
As per regulation. Where is the existing cart path?
It actually goes right by the, if you look to the house on the house towards the bottom there, you'll see right in front of the house, the house on the right as you come in.
Now, I see it here, but
It's right there, and then it goes out into the common drive, and then it kind of turns right a little bit. That's it.
okay,
Yep. And then continues out back.
continues off site. All right.
The the lot geometry is a little bit wacky because they have minimum lot width requirements. So we basically had to put kind of a little jog in the property line north-south. So the property line comes down the middle of the common driveway, and then it turns south right there. Yep. And then it heads out to the east, out towards the back lot line. We're going to put a couple of culverts in to, maintain the, the water that, wants to seep through across pretty much kind of seeps overland from the wetlands on the southeast side to the northwest side. So we got 2 culverts going in there.
There is a fair amount of sheet flow down off that hill.
Yeah, there is. It ponds up behind the existing house, and then it just goes overland.
Okay, do we have any elevations for the, okay, I think I see them, these green, fluorescent green.
Yeah, there's spot elevations on there, and the proposed grades are, they're hard to see.
Yeah.
It's a light green, but the labels are dark green. So it's, the spot grade, like at the culvert, is 426. And right at the next culvert, the next cyan color, it's a 430 contour right going over the road right there. Those lines are just, that color doesn't show up very well.
Yeah. So
Then as you head into the
looks
site,
like we got 420 something at this end of the culvert, but we're going uphill.
it's 428
Yeah.
right at that inlet to that culvert, and the road grade is 430.
Oh, okay, so it's not far under, all right.
Right. No, we're putting in 12-inch diameter, and we're putting 12 inches of cover over them. So that'll make them suitable for H20 loads.
Okay. And do you have a schematic of the replication area?
Yes. If you pan up towards the top of that page, there's notes and a schematic there.
All right, can we get an update of exactly what you're putting in here? Because I do see mention of a wetland scientist, so if we can get an inventory of the plants in the area to make sure that we're putting back in plants that are of the same genus and species as it existing now.
Yeah, I did an inventory back on the end of August, 1st of September. was 7 pages, which actually that included everything we were going to.
Yeah, Rich, there should be a file in there that says tree inventory.
All right, now that's trees though, not the, I mean, that's gonna stand the tree inventory on where they are for, of course, there's less disturbed area, but we're still gonna be replacing those. But, planting schematic for the wetland itself.
Oh, okay, yeah,
'Cause
right.
it's-
right.
I believe over there is a little more wooded. It's not just a. Let me zip over there quick.
That's correct. Yeah, it's
So
lot
myself,
of
I'd like to see
saplings.
a planting schematic of exactly what you're putting back in there
okay.
to make sure that what you're putting in is similar to what is already there.
Yep.
Yeah, because it looks like you're putting it out in this area here, so. But yeah, so if we can get an inventory of what's there and then a planting scheme of what you're putting back,
Okay.
that would be my concern, my biggest concern at this point. And is there any way to slide this lower building somewhere off of the 50-foot setback?
I could probably move it a few feet to
Okay.
the right.
Yep.
Yeah, I could maybe juggle it around a little bit. I was just trying to stay under that 40,000 or the 1 acre rather
Yep.
of disturbance, but maybe I can pick some up on the back side of the other lot
Mhm.
and apply it to the yeah, I could probably shift that over a little bit.
Okay. Now let's see if we can get this that way a little bit, get that way, because you can always take your disturbance line and move it with you. So, you know, it's really kind of a net zero as you're getting away from that 50-foot no
Right.
disturbance line. Because I take it this LOW is a limit of work.
That's correct.
Yeah, so I would think we could shrink the envelope down here a little bit, shrink that over. But I myself, because you've got it right at the 50-foot, so.
Right. Yeah, it is awfully close, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I do appreciate that the site has definitely shrunk and is far less intrusive in that area, so. Those are my two concerns, sliding the house and getting an inventory and a planting scheme for the replication area. Matt, have you been out on site and verified the flagging?
Yeah, the flagging's been, we verified that a long time ago.
Okay.
My question is on the replication area. Paul, are you looking to remove the trees, or is that replication area going around and keeping the canopy?
Well, you know, when we, I'll go back out there and see, some of them are, you know, might be well suited to stay, especially on the, you know, the left side of that area where it's already low. We might be able to leave a bunch of those trees. On the right-hand side and on the north, we got to cut the grade down too much, but in that area, they're mostly saplings and they're like multi-stem. Some of these, you know, they're like 1.5-inch saplings and they might have, you know, 5 to 7, you know, stems coming out of the ground. And, you know, those are just going to have to be removed because the grade's got to be cut down.
Okay, and did you send these revised plans to the DEP regional office?
You know, I'll have to go back and check. I'm not sure, but I'll check on that.
Yeah, can you make sure you do? I mean, you can send it directly to Kim Roth. And they've been, you know, especially clamping down on, you know, follow-up plans. So you want to make sure that you get that in there.
I will check on that.
Yeah, I'd like to see if that has been submitted, if DEP had any follow-up comments.
Okay.
So the driveway from the Pleasant Street in through the crossing hasn't changed. That's pretty much in the same location.
It actually slid a little bit to the south. I believe the former road was roughly 60 feet, 58 to 60 feet north of the abutting property corner.
Mhm.
And that's because we had big sweeping radiuses required by the subdivision regs. So that pushed the road more to the north.
Okay.
I would have loved to pull this driveway to the south and stay on that existing cart road, but they've got a requirement that the common driveway be centered on the lot line for the lots they're serving. So that pushed me 50 feet north of the property line. So the road's a little further to the south than the former one, but the former road had kind of an angle on it, and I had to keep a 50-foot radius on the center line to the existing property corner. So it's basically in the same place. It's
Okay.
smaller, it's narrower, and not as high also.
Can we get the center line staked
Sure.
every 20 feet or so out to the intersection here?
Yep.
And then get the corners of the houses and the corners of the septic staked? And we
Okay.
can zip out there on a Saturday and take a look, get a new perspective on where it's all going. So driveway, 4 corners of the 2 houses, and the 2 septic systems.
Okay.
Then just let Matt know as soon as you get that completed, and then we can go out and do another site survey.
All
Hey, Rich,
right.
if they could maybe put a couple stakes by that replication area too.
Not a bad idea.
Rich, I had a couple of follow-up questions.
Okay. So yeah, so if you can take Paul and get a couple stakes from the corners here, just to give us a little bit of an idea of where that replication area is.
Yeah, we'll flag it and stake that line across it.
Okay. Perfect. And Matt, you had some questions.
Yeah, Paul, the septic system's been approved by the Board of Health.
Not yet. They've been designed so that, we would have the grading, so we'd know what the grading is going to be, but we haven't submitted them yet. We
Okay,
just got
so,
the signed Monday night, so we'll be moving
okay,
ahead.
so has Jimmy witnessed the perk testing is out there?
Yes, yep.
Okay, and what is your status with the planning board?
Status with the planning board is that the A&R has been signed and we're withdrew the, actually I wasn't at that meeting Monday night, but I believe the subdivision was withdrawn.
And you said you was trying to stay under the acre of disturbance. Where are you at right now?
Really close. Geez, I thought we had it labeled on here. We're 40,
I was looking quick.
40,000.
Mr. Chairman?
Less than 40, but we're probably 39,999 kind of thing.
So do you have to stay under 40,000 or 1 acre?
Well, it's actually 43,560 we have to stay
Exactly.
on. So, yeah. So I can use a little bit of that to help
Okay.
move the house over.
Yeah, so you've got a little bit there to work with, not quite 10%, so.
Right.
Although it says here that you're under 40,000. So you've got 3,500 to 5,000 square feet still to deal with. So you've got some space in there. We can move this house out.
Yep.
Mr. Rabbit, I think I heard you,
Oh, yeah, I raised my hand, but I don't know. Don't worry about it. I'm not worried. Hey, Paul, just, I'm looking at this 6-bedroom house, and you've got the driveway with opposing pieces, and then you cut it out, and just where it says easement, there's a there's a push out there. Why are we doing that?
Right where the word easement is.
Yeah, right on that square. Why are we adding more parking? Is that what we're doing?
Oh, no, it's not for parking. It's for, vehicle turnaround, vehicle or delivery trucks or what have you. So
Okay.
that area and the driveway actually that approaches the other house will be the turnaround, as
That's
opposed to having a big bulb there.
Supporting both of them. If you go, now does that affect your 1 acre, that little cutout section in terms
Oh,
of?
yeah, everything inside that limit of work line, and actually, for the
So-
most part, the silt fence line.
Yeah, if you eliminate it and let them turn around in each other's driveway, you'd pick up, what is it, 20 by 40 or something, 800 feet?
Yeah, but we had a size that's so large, delivery trucks, emergency vehicles can turn around there.
Oh, okay.
The reason for that, I should mention, I can't remember the footage, but if your common driveway's over a certain, over 300 feet or 250, I forget the number, then you have to provide a turnaround for large vehicles.
Emergency vehicles.
And, yeah, and by the time we got through the wetlands there, we were over that. I want to say 250 feet, I think was the number. So we had to provide this kind of larger turnaround space.
Okay, thank you. I was just questioning why was it like that? That's all right. That's a good answer. Thank you.
Yep.
Fire engine turnaround.
Oh, thank you, Jack. Any other questions or comments from commissioners?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions or comments from the public on 101 Pleasant Street? Andrea Adams.
Thank you. I guess I would say at this juncture, you've got a few more pieces of information you need to be able to make a informed determination on this particular layout. But I would just direct the board's attention and the applicant's attention to my comment letter of June 14 of this year under item number 2, specific comments, items A, about wetland crossings. B, about the information for the wetland alteration of any type. C, work in no touch or wetland replication needing to be monitored by a qualified individual. I call them a wetland scientist in my letter. More narrative if you need it on the erosion and sedimentation control. And that any work adjacent in the buffers and no touch, if it still exists, could be overseen by a clerk to take the burden off of Matt, although that's entirely up to you and to Mr. Morrow as to how you want to allocate your time to this project. So I would just make those brief comments on this particular design, and I look forward to seeing what it looks like when you get the information you need, particularly on the wetland replication with regard to species.
All right, thank you very much. Any other questions or comments from the public? Seeing no other questions or comments from the public nor commissioners, with your permission, Paul, we'll continue this to December 1st to give you time to mark out the driveway, the corners of the house, the septic, and the replication area.
All
And let
right.
Matt know as soon as you've got that done, and then we can schedule a site walk out on there. At this point, does anybody feel that we need to have Paul with us on the site walk?
Always helpful.
All right, so
Very
we'll
Plus, he's a nice guy. He's a good guy.
All right, so
Thanks.
when you get it staked, Paul, just let Matt know, and then generally we walk on Saturdays, so that would be the Saturday after Thanksgiving, be a nice quiet day, work off some of that turkey we've eaten. And I'm not sure-
All righty.
And see
Yep.
if we can meet you out there Saturday morning.
Very good.
Perfect. All right, with your permission, we will continue this to December 1st.
Please do.
I'll accept the motion to that.
So moved.
Motion by Mike,
Second,
second by Jack. Roll call vote. Mike,
Aye.
Katie,
Aye.
Jack,
aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
and I for myself. Thank you, Paul. We'll look forward to seeing you after Thanksgiving.
All right, thank you. Good night.
You have a
Night.
good night. All right, at this point, nobody for 188 Whalum Road showed up, so we will continue that to December 1st, unless there's any questions or comments from the commission. Seeing none, I'll accept the motion to continue 188 Whalum Road to December 1st.
So moved.
Jack,
Second.
Jeff, roll call vote. Mike? I think Mike.
Aye.
Katie,
Nope.
Aye.
Jack,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
and I for myself. All right, moving forward with new business. We have a release of chapter 61A. I don't know if everybody's had a chance to review that.
Mhm.
I did review it and it does not come close to any of the requirements for the conservation to recommend it, although in taken in totality, it does cover a fair amount of, where are they, Matt? I'm not far back enough. Here we go. Okay, so it's properties owned by Darren Massey on Holman Street. For everybody watching, the Lane property is down Holman Street down here on the low side. This is the intersection going towards North Cemetery and then Northfield Road. So it's these lots in through here. Looks like we got lot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And where they're not contiguous with any of our lots, I personally don't see us recommending moving forward and exercising our rights at this time. Does anybody else have any questions or comments on it?
I would agree with you, Rich. There's nothing there that we can attach to.
So it looks like it's this chunk of land right here. Then this stripping out through here, this is North County Land Trust, so it doesn't really abut any of their properties. And then this is the Lane property out on this side. Out here, Lane property, so. Any other questions or comments from commissioners? Question or comments from the public? Seeing none, I guess I'll accept the motion to send a letter to the selectmen that the Conservation Commission is not interested in seeing the town exercise its rights of first refusal on this property.
So moved.
Jack,
So moved.
have a second?
Second.
Second.
Second by Jeff. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, roll call vote. Mike, Katie,
Aye.
Jack,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
and I for myself. All right, you've got that, Matt?
Yes.
All right, so you'll let Heather know? All
Yes.
right, and what do we have for trail planning at 260 Howard?
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that to Bob. That was Bob's baby. I do know that he sent an email out that he wants to do a site walk on 260 Howard to go over the trails, but probably let him follow that up on email.
Okay. And you want to bring us up to speed on 123? Or at this point, we'll probably leave it for Bob when he's here.
Actually, there are 2 items on 123. I'm going to need you guys to ratify the monetary amounts.
Okay.
The first one is for pest control. I'm going to need a vote for a total of $600 to be spent for the a mouse clean out and an insect spray out around the house. I've already had a PO placed on that, and I'm going to need another $800 for septic system pumping. I had 2 pumpings done, and that's going to need approval so I can go ahead and pay those. The reason why I have to do it this way is we don't have a specific Hollis Road line item, and I'm working with Bob and Adam Burney to examine that particular issue. We don't have a specific budgetary line item, so.
All right. Any questions or comments from commissioners? All right. Seeing none.
Hey, Matt, is there any discussion on? Sorry.
Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, I just wanted to say, is there any more further discussion on any of those emergency items that we may have discussed on the site visit vis-a-vis?
We have to do a total rehab project. We can't do it piecemeal. We've already been told that by the town. So we've got plenty of money in the account. Of course, as you know, we've had some issues with contractors, as far as getting responses. I think if we do a total rehab, we may get a better response. And I'm working with Bob, Adam, and Julie to try to get specs ready for that. It's going to have to go out as one large item. So we'll get that spec'd out and I'll bring it back to the commission.
All right.
Okay.
So at this point, I'll accept a motion to approve Matt's expenditures as described.
So moved.
Jeff, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mike. Moving forward, roll call vote. Mike?
Aye.
Katie?
Aye.
Jack?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
And I for myself. And actually, I skipped over the trail thing just a little too quickly. Bob had sent me a couple things. We want to make sure to acknowledge the snow riders and thank them in constructing 6 new informational kiosks. 7 volunteers worked with Bob for 4 hours on Thursday and then again for 3 hours on Wednesday, and constructed roofs and bulletin board components. The club is now working on arranging for delivery and installation of the kiosks at Small Town Forest, Hunting Hill, Laurel Bank, Table Rock, and 2 to be placed at Robb's Hill. I'd also like to recognize and thank Bruce Mann, who has volunteered to make routed signs of PVC painted to look like wood, giving the names of the conservation lands to be posted on the 6 new kiosks and on any of the existing 6 kiosks that don't already have name signs on them. Bob also has purchased the plexiglass to cover 12 kiosks. The 4 access control gates have been ordered from E.T. Duval Fabrication, and the commission has received an extension from the state for the existing trails grant to December of 2022 to complete the work and the tenets of the grant. He is also asking the commission to do a site walk with Matt on 260 Howard Street. During such time, we will tentatively decide where a cart path would be located to access the northwest town forest. And Matt could could delineate any wetlands. I'd also like to schedule a notice of intent to create a cart path. When that is complete, I would like to seek grant funding to install such a cart path. The deadline to apply for the next round of recreational trails grants is Tuesday, February 1st. So he's hoping to do the site walk on the Saturday after Thanksgiving. So if we can add that, Matt, to the site walks, weather permitting, on, what's that gonna be, the 27th, 8, 9, 30, yeah, 27th.
27th, correct.
Yep, so we've got 101 Pleasant on the 27th for a site walk and 260 Howard Street. And if we can try to get everybody to show up, so then we can go over the cart path for the access.
Will do.
And then we can move forward with the trails grant, because the time will come very quickly. So we don't want to drag our feet on that. And if you
Will do.
could, Matt, maybe just send a quick email to Patricia, just letting her know that we do have a good thing on amount of things to see on our sidewalk Saturday, if she's able to attend.
You got it.
Thank you. All right, moving forward, we have a violation at 615 Townsend Street in Lunenburg.
Hey, Rich, before we go into Townsend Street and Townsend Harbor Road,
Yeah,
can we just go over these other ones? Because they're going to be very quick.
sure.
So Leominster Road illegal dumping, there's a notice of intent that is in process. I'm still waiting for it. The town hired Mark Popham, who's done our 21E work in that area, to do the plan and the notice of intent. 48 Oak Ridge is with town council right now. I'll get it, and I'll talk to Adam for an update. 205 Arbor Street, I got a call scheduled with DEP finally to go over that issue with them on the potentially agricultural exemption. 23 North Cove, I got an email from the owner today. He's been, working slowly on this, but somebody apparently had shoved some rocks into the culvert by his property, and the water started backing up. So he went in and cleaned out the culvert by hand. That was during this last storm, so that's all set. 190 Peninsula Drive, they were going to be here this evening. However, Mrs. Emergent apparently had a fall, and as a result, she may have had to have gone to the hospital. So I'd gotten that communication from Amy, who let us know that she couldn't be there.
All right, thank you, Matt. I did just put up on the screen, you did have an emergency cert for Beaver Dam. Matt?
Rich, I can't see that screen. Can you enlarge that, please?
Sure. That's just a letter.
Yeah, I issued an emergency permit on Page Street, on the upper end of Page Street, right on the Shirley line. We've had a lot of beaver activity there, but they started really bugging the culvert. So I gave Rob Oliver permission to go in based on the emergency.
All right.
So I need a ratification from you guys.
All right, I'll accept the motion to approve the emergency cert issued to the Shirley DPW for removal. Or I guess they're not looking to remove the entire dam, they're just looking to augment it a bit. I'll accept the motion.
So moved.
Jeff, second.
Second.
Jack, second. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, Mike,
Aye.
Katie,
Aye.
Jack,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
aye for myself. All right, Matt, you want to bring us up to speed quick on 615? And I believe Jack and Mike were out on site as well.
Right. Matt, you first.
Okay, so back at the end of October, we had, actually it may have been sooner than that. I don't have the timeline in front of me, but we had an issue where we had a heavy rainstorm and silt started coming off the site going on from 615 Townsend Street to 164 White Street, also known as Page's Pond, and started causing a silt event again. I did issue another enforcement order. This makes number 3. I went out to the site with Mr. Barros and instructed him to put up a wood shavings berm in an arc, which he's done. And it did appear, based on follow-up inspections with Jack and myself, that the shavings berm appears to work, at least for now. That is a temporary item that was meant to take care of this immediately. There is stabilization work that's going to need to be done. Also, in examining the area, I mean, I don't know if Val or anybody else is here for Val, but I need to consult with the building inspector on other items on the property. A lot of the work that he's doing that was related to the aquaculture that he's doing on the site was based on some earth removal, well, not earth removal, but earthwork that he was doing. And it looks like you may have some earth removal activity going on over there, not just necessarily source relocation. So I have to talk to Casey's been out for the last couple of weeks. He's due back on Monday. I need to speak with him about investigating that area. And if that's so, it would go outside the agricultural exemption, even though that area is out of the buffer zone. We did have the siltation event going from that area, so we're going to need to come up with a plan to control the silt. That could be done partially through enforcement, partially through an earth removal permit, if that's required. We'd also have to evaluate it to ensure that if it's under an acre, if it's over an acre, it may need a stormwater permit as well. So I have to wait for Casey to come back in order to review those with him. Again, like I said, he's been out for the last 2 weeks, so I haven't had the chance to, I haven't had the chance to speak with him about that. I mean, that's the basics. Jack, if you want to jump in.
Sure. Rich, if you can pull up, I did a write-up, and I believe it's in Matt's file, in the Google file. I would also like to point out that there has been an attorney involved via Mr. Foster, and they are presenting a pretty extensive history of the relationship with Mr. Barros and his activities. And I would urge you to kind of go in and read that to become more familiar with it. Can you, Rich, we will put that up? Okay, that's a picture of one of the side ponds, and was taken a couple days. Well, actually, yesterday, Matt, was that when we were out yesterday?
I believe it was yesterday.
Yeah. This is a picture of the basically the as we walk down. This is on Mr. Barros' property. As you'll note, there's a very large growing stockpile of both loam and rock that wasn't apparent, back when we looked at the Google photos. So this is a growing issue. This is go to 150 White Street, Rich. Yeah, go 150 White Street. There you go. Okay, so when we got there, we were met by Mr. Foster, and he walked us through and showed us firsthand the turbidity. We walked down the trails. We saw the silt infiltration. You're going to come fast for me, Rich. Give me a second. Move back.
So I guess just first and foremost, Jack, is where did you notice there was this pond here?
Yes, that was actually the large pond, the whole pond. When we first met with Mr. Foster, had been.
Was there any up here?
Okay. When we first started, Mr. Foster's home is at the base of the pond,
yeah.
And that's when we observed a considerable level of silt in the water. We proceeded to walk up along the trail. He has like a little trail right along the water line. And that's when we were able to start observing the piles of materials that had basically infiltrated. Matt is absolutely correct. He had been spoken to earlier, Mr. Barros. He had put up a small berm of basically wood chips that appeared to have not necessarily done the intended job, but it was too small. It was overwhelmed. If I could go a little further, yeah, there's
So
also the
we've-
trail.
We've identified where it's infiltrating.
Yes, we believe we have.
Okay.
And as
do
you'll
we
note,
have any up in this spot too? Because I know when Matt and I had walked it in the fall.
there's another activity that occurred up at that spot, and it's towards the end of the piece. This is where there was additional excavation done. There were no erosion controls put in, nor was there any turbidity controls put in that particular. That would be the last slide, Rich, if you want to go to answer that. So, yeah, there's other activities going on. That would be it, Rich, right in there. It was all excavated out, and there were no controls in there.
And this is excavated down to the pond?
There's a small stream that carries that water down into that pond, yes. But it was noted that there really wasn't a lot of silt. There was some, but not much, because it's coming out of a pipe. It's moving through sand. But again, there were no controls put in place for when a rain event does occur, and the embankments that were carved away will wash into that stream. And again, the other photos basically depict the level of silt that was deposited as a result of the breach of the piece. I believe it probably happened in a couple different locations, and it just didn't work. It also appears that Matt is absolutely correct. There should be, if there isn't already, another permit going on, because there's considerable excavation. They're sorting the rocks. The piles are considerably bigger, and there's a lot of activity going on.
What would you suggest at this point? I am in favor of allowing Matt to continue with the building inspector to determine the extent of the operations.
Absolutely.
And I would like to see Matt, and perhaps where you and Mike are on site, a quick plan to be put in place onto how to stop the sediment-filled water from running down into Page Pond.
Yeah, I have complete
Whether they have
confidence.
to come up with some sort of settling ponds and permanent berms in these areas.
That would be correct. And that's also the recommendation of the lawyer in that letter.
And the other thing I would like to put forth, and we can vote on it tonight, is if we do get sedimentation into Page Pond again, without having a remediation be put in place and maintained, that we start fining the landowner $300 a day until such time as the remediation is put in place.
I would absolutely support that.
And I think
Because there's a long history.
Ratify that, just so Matt can put it in letter form. So that he is aware, if he does not put such measures in place, that he will be fined the next time sedimentation reaches Page Pond.
Yeah.
How does that sound to you, Matt?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I think the first thing we need to do is the wood shavings berm I had him put out there. It's a lot smaller than what I told him to put up.
Yep.
Those need to be like 3 feet high by 3 feet wide, and that was not close to it. It did do some good. And I've used those in subdivisions with steep slopes with like 20 acres of land opened up in front of it.
Yep.
Down steep slopes with full 3-inch rainstorms, and nothing gets by it. So if it's done properly, it's going to have to be expanded on that site. Where he has it isn't enough. So I'm going to need to, I'll bring everybody out, take a look at the site. We'll start off that way and then work the rest of it up. And I got to get Casey on this part of it to, investigate the rest of it.
I mean, it's clearly not exempt agricultural work going on, other than if he is indeed still performing aquaculture in the pond.
Now, it looks to me like the amount of earth material that's there, the amount of rock has increased substantially in the last year.
Yeah, so I would also recommend that any further orders given to Mr. Barros be done in writing. And again, we'll vote on it tonight, of course, but if we have.
Well, everything.
He gets.
Just so you know, everything I've given him, with the exception of the wood chip berm, because I just did that told him to get it done right away. Everything else has been in writing.
Yep. Yeah, but any instructions such as that, so if he doesn't follow them and siltation does reach the pond, I do want him to be on notice that he will be fined for polluting Page Pond with sediment moving forward if he doesn't follow the orders that we give him.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I also want to note that, I would like to note that I've had a chance to start reading through the stormwater handbook with regard to seeing if there was a violation, and it would appear there is a violation of stormwater laws in the state of Massachusetts.
Okay. Well, at this point, that's my recommendation. I have Matt and Casey move forward with determining the scope of work and what is and is not legal work being done on a property. A written notification to Mr. Barrows that next time silted rainwater makes it into Page Pond, he will be fined at $300 a day until any such remediation efforts are put in place. And I would accept a motion to that. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, Jack, what's the stormwater violation?
Yeah, I'll send you the piece. I was just reading it about a half an hour ago, because you had mentioned that you were questioning whether or not that would be, and you were going to look at it. So I said, I'll go take a look too.
Are you talking about the stormwater handbook or the local
stormwater
bylaw?
handbook? Book number 1, the first book. And it does make it really clear that you will not allow anything like that to occur that sends silt into the watershed, into the freshwater body. So yeah, I will get that to you, and if you want, I'll send it to all the members. But that would be my first inclination to think that there is. I've still got a long ways to go. There's 3 of them. There's 3 volumes.
Well, in this case, once the pollution reaches the wetland resource area, we do have the authority to stop it, even if it is outside of the 100-foot buffer zone.
That would be correct.
Yes. So I feel confident that putting him on notice at this point, we have documentation of the pollution that's getting into the pond, and that is technically in that pond somewhere is the stream bed for Pearl Brook. But
yes.
I think it's going to end up being more than 200 feet from his property, so I don't think it's necessarily in the riparian zone.
But there's a hydrological connection, isn't there?
Well, the stream bed, you have the riparian zone is 200 feet from the stream bed, so you'd have to go down in there and figure out exactly where the stream is and if the water's flowing, if it's not flowing. But again, it's neither here nor there. The pollution is occurring, so it is within our authorities. At this point, I'll accept a motion as instructed prior.
So moved.
Jack, anybody else? Second?
Second.
Jeff, second. Roll call vote. Mike? Katie?
Aye.
Jack?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
And I for myself. So if you can, Matt, just draft a letter with, make sure to just get Bob's sign off, or actually Bob's probably the one signing it.
Mr. Chairman, I
Yes.
thought I saw Mr. Foster in the audience.
I haven't seen anybody raising hands, so
Is it Alan? Would that be Alan?
don't know. There's a
That
bunch of
looked like
people I
Mr.
don't
Foster
know.
to me. Would he want to make any comment?
Any comments from the public on 615 Townsend Harbor or Townsend Street?
This is Alan Foster. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening. I very much appreciate the actions that you're taking tonight. I'm simply looking to correct the source and the continued violations. This has gone on for 6 years. I tried working with Mr. Barrows in the southern part of his property. He's done a very nice job creating a farm pond and reclaiming the land. It's beautiful fields there. I know he can do the work, but I think this is veered into an area of contractor activity, earth removal, processing activity, and clearly it's created a problem over a long period of time. And I have worked with Matt. I appreciate your efforts, but more is needed to call a stop to this. And I appreciate your activities. Thank you very much. if there are any specific questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Mr. Foster, did we miss anything with regard to any of your other observations? Have the stockpiles grown larger or?
Absolutely, yes. And I don't know where all the material came from, but they clearly are larger. There is the area of wetland fill that you talked about at the very northern end on a tributary stream. My own take is that that's beyond my expertise to understand how to go about remediating the issue that was created there. Attorney Nyland did suggest requesting or requiring, more to the point, that Mr. Barros get a wetland specialist to come up with a remediation plan and put this into peer review, that the commission would hire a separate wetland scientist and let them work out how to go about taking care of this problem. That's in your hands to make that decision, but that was what the attorney recommended, and he works in this realm day in, day out. So again, it's outside my expertise. I just know there's a problem there that's going to create silt for years to come. And I think it's a specialist job to try and figure out how to solve that.
I thank you for your time.
Jack, can hold off on the discussion, please. Rich just got kicked off. I'm on the phone with him.
Oh, okay. By the way, just to share with the other members, Matt and I went out and visited him again.
Second, Jack, hold off on the discussion, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
I was going to compliment you. I'll hold off then.
Give me the medal later. Rich is trying to give me instructions on the phone. I can't hear two conversations at once. That's why.
Okay, no problem. Where is that?
All right, guys, I'm going to put Rich on my speakerphone. Rich, go ahead.
All right, at this point, probably just as easy if we move forward with the motion that was on the table to have Matt and Casey move forward with determining if the activity is in violation and a letter to be sent to Mr. Barrow informing him that he will be fined the next time this happens until such time as the damage is fixed and remediation is such that it won't happen again. Any questions on that?
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
If I could add an amendment that we would also request that he immediately employ a wetland specialist to work with Matt to essentially make sure this doesn't happen again.
I don't know if a wetland specialist is going to do it. I think it's more of a stormwater or drainage issue. But I don't think I would necessarily be in favor of a wetland specialist trying to determine drainage issues.
Yeah, I mean, Jack, I have to determine because I believe Alan phrased it well based on what I'm seeing this year versus last year. there seems to have been an exponential growth in what I'm seeing on site. So I think it's actually going to take, there's going to wind up being probably multiple departments working together on this. So he may have to do something a little bit stronger than a wetland scientist. So while we determine the extent of what type of permitting is going to be required, is going to dictate exactly who he's going to have to hire as a professional.
Yeah, some sort of an engineering specialist or something that can stand by the improvements that are being proposed, and that they've got a little skin in the game too. So all I know is that we've got a history here, and history has a tendency to repeat itself. And so why would we not assure that there's somebody else actively engaged with Mr. Burrows and providing some sort of a guarantee that it will, an expertise at least, that it will not happen. And I totally have faith in you, Matt, with regard to the berm and stuff, but there needs to be, I think, a little more looked at. And to your point as well, yeah, he's going to have to be filing for some permits and things like that. So, but I would propose that we put some sort of an official shadow on him with somebody that's got some expertise that can make some recommendations that'll put this issue to bed once and for all.
All right, how about we just table that, Jack, for 2 weeks? Let Casey and Matt go out, determine the scope of work that is and is not allowed on the property.
Okay.
And then at such time, we could determine what remediation needs to be done.
Okay, I withdraw that proposal for now.
All right, and Matt, make sure to leave it on the agenda so that we can have an update on December 1st.
Well, yeah, it'll be a running item on the agenda like we normally do until it's concluded.
Okay.
Thank you.
Super. All right, so I will accept the motion I'll accept that in the motion form.
So moved.
Jack,
Yep.
Second.
a second. Mike, okay, roll call vote. Mike,
Aye.
Katie,
Aye.
Jack,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
and I for myself. All right, so if you get with Casey, Matt, and see how we're doing on that, and just work on the letter with Bob.
Yep, you got it.
Trails grant, I brought everybody up to speed on what Bob had given me. Any certificate of compliance?
No, not this time.
Extension permits?
No, not this time.
Committee reports? I gave Bob. Any other communications, Matt?
Not at
We
this
have
time,
some.
no.
I have
All right,
something, Matt.
comments from commissioners?
Okay, for a few things, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Foster for working with us and providing us with excellent guidance and documentation and taking the time out to make this environmental issue correct. So, Alan, thank you very much. You're great. You're very good. And
you for your efforts as well. I hope that this can result in resolution and that Mr. Barros can do what's legal with his property. I wish all the best.
Thank you. We'll keep you in the loop, Alan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Matt and I had a chance, along with Mike, to go and explore the question of a Spring Street storm drain. And I know, Matt, you were going to try and communicate that to the powers that be, whoever that might be.
Well, it's not on the agenda tonight, Jack. I'm still investigating it, and I'd rather withhold any further comment until I conclude.
That's good. As long as we haven't lost it, that's all.
But I do appreciate the fact that you went out there. That was very helpful.
Yeah, it was enlightening for us, and that it also might potentially expose a hole in our whole system. The other one was I sent you some documentation with regard to an investigation on 2 Gabes Ave in terms of filling the wetland, and I want if we can get that on the agenda for next time.
Yep, no problem.
Okay. There has been a reported to me. There's a potential violation on Reservoir Road with regard to 2 lots next to a stream that is being developed right now. And again, it was whispered in my ear last night. So they said, can you go take a look at that? Because we think that they're way too close to that stream, the excavation going on. And lastly, there was a couple of campsites that when Carl was there and we were going to look at a Fire Road 16, I think, or whatever, there were some camps that set up on the side of the lake. They were basically cut in the woods, and they had fireplaces and things like that. And I don't know if Carl ever got you the addresses to go take a look at them. That was an old note I was going through, and I saw that. So is there any follow-up on that at all, Matt?
No, I never got the addresses.
Okay, I'll go chase Carl and try and get those.
Actually, I think you and I were supposed to go out and look at those.
I always enjoy your company as long as you're not sicker than a dog, Warren. Hey, by the way, you were a yeoman here. You did a yeoman's job yesterday, and that you were sick and you spent the time out there, and I sincerely respect that. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack.
It really is. That's that little gold star I was trying to give you. Kudos.
All right, any other comments from commissioners? Any comment from the public? You guys will just have to take a quick look at the participants list. I believe anybody can unmute themselves if they have to speak.
Actually, Rich, I don't believe we went over 441 Townsend Harbor Road.
Okay, 441, was it listed here?
Yeah.
Okay, 441 Townsend Harbor. Is there anyone here for 441 Townsend Harbor?
Jeremy Ethia with Systematic Consulting Services.
Is Town of Lunenburg still on?
Yes.
Is there anybody from Town of Lunenburg that is there?
Unfortunately, the meeting ID is no longer valid. Let's just type it in. If you can bring us up to speed, Jeremy, on what you're looking to update there at 441 with the roof intruding into the 50-foot no structure zone and was not approved.
We, after last meeting, met with Dillis and Roy and had them design a water recharge system for the exception of the roof to put the water back into the ground. That was the issue from the water free falling through the deck area. We have uploaded the plan. I believe you've received it. Matt has had it. And
Should be on your clouds, guys.
Take a look at that.
I can't, unfortunately, without the Town of Lunenburg, without anyone actually being present, because they had just set it to stream. And when Rich got kicked off, he lost his hosting privileges. So he can't get back into the room. So if you go to your clouds, hold on a second. Let me just guide you to the cloud. No, I don't see it on here. I know I uploaded it, so I don't know where it went. But essentially, there was a plan from Dillis and Roy. Essentially, what it is they are proposing an alternative to removing the roof, which essentially is a roof leader that would direct all the drainage to a percolation, to an underground leaching chamber that would be placed out of the 50-foot no structure zone on the driveway side of the lot. And Jeremy, I don't know if you wanted to add to that.
The original, we went over this the last time and the building commissioner came down. I believe everybody came down, took their measurements, and we went from a 31 by 52 original footprint to the 30 by 50. The original deck area was 52 by 12. Now it's 50 by 10. the, 16 by 12 area of roof that was on the back covering the partial area of the porch originally was 192 square feet. The deck area in total with coverage now is 500 square feet. So the difference is 308 square feet of actual area that is going to, proposing to be covered. And the roof recharge system is actually taking the water from both sides of the house and putting it back into a recharge system, which will eliminate any water running off the deck, running off the topsoil, or running towards the pond from where it originally was. So it removes the erosion. It removes, I think, most of the issues that anyone had or hoping.
That drawing's up there, Matt?
It was, I can't find it.
Okay.
Jack.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, I was not on the site. Did we get presented with information as to why we couldn't just remove that portion of the roof that's in violation?
All we've seen is an alternative proposal, I believe.
Okay.
There were two other issues that were sitting out there with regard to concerns. One of them was essentially cleaning up the property and getting the junk away from the water line. The other one was a statement that was made earlier with regard to removing all the trees on the property. And I believe, and I could be wrong here, but I believe there was a statement made that the insurance company required all the trees be removed on the property. And I believe we were looking for some sort of a letter of validation that that was in the case, because that is somewhat new to us. And I get it if the tree's over the house, but there were other trees removed. And I'm interested to see if that insurance company really did. I want to know since when does that have to happen? So those are the other two things that are sitting with me. I don't know about the other members.
You want me to?
Well, Jack, we had
answer that?
addressed that in the order of conditions with a replanting plan and a tree protection plan.
Right. But there was a statement made that his insurance company required it, and I'm interested to see that. I don't, I've never seen it, and if there's something that's going on there, then we need to be addressing those more clearly in our requirements in town. So that's part one. And the other part was there's a pile of trash, garbage, things are not being used, and that property should be cleaned up, and it should be at least 50 feet, 100 feet out of the away, and it hasn't been. And
you want me to answer that?
Sure, Jeremy, please.
All right. I did meet down with you when we went over the trees. And as far as insurance, I can get you one from any insurance company. If any tree is in a certain area, death area, dead, decaying in any way, shape, form, any insurance company in the state of Massachusetts can have you remove the trees or threaten to drop your insurance or not renew your insurance. I can get you that letter. To
Okay,
take care of the first
if
issue.
the tree is diseased or dead or decayed, I don't have a problem with that. Those were
Correct.
healthy trees.
And with the order of conditions, we went through this, and all the trees being replaced based on that. The system that was being put in, the septic system, the bulk of the trees that come down are where the tank is going. Where the tank, they've already issued the permit for it, the septic system, the leach field in that entire area. The only trees that were removed other than that affected area that will be affected were the dead tree. One of them is still standing, which I do believe the neighbors addressed you to ask us several times to remove the other two dead trees. And my exact words were, please take it up with conservation. We have enough issues right now, to be honest with you. He's concerned it's going to fall on his house, damage his fence. And again, I told him there's nothing I can do. He'd have to speak to you about it. And he said he would do that. So I'm sure he's reached out to some of the people at some point. And I mean, other than that, I will get you the letter from the insurance company. That was a battle that took me over a year. So I can get you any of that part. As far as the trash, no problem, Jack. As far as the trash and debris down there, you've been there a long time, along with a lot of the people. And again, I can't repeat this enough. We took 8 dumpsters full of debris and different things out of there, along with trucks, trailers, basketball hoops, and everything. That property has had 8 30-yard dumpsters worth of debris removed from there. The things that are left there are their belongings. If they had a house, they probably would have them in the house. They have a storage container rented. The belongings you're talking about were on the deck of the shed that were there and has been there for a long, long time because they simply won't fit in any other structure. We weren't going to put another structure or a container there. So all of that debris has been picked up with the exception of the fence area. There's a couple of the old pieces of fence that were broken. When the trees did fall, those were put into a pile. And the septic gentleman, when they put the septic in, he pulls all the stumps out, everything out. He'll have a machine there big enough to pick that up. But everything else has been picked up.
Okay, Jeremy, if I could make a suggestion then.
Sure.
Perhaps go and there's a small shed on the right by the water line. There's quite a bit of material stacked on top of that deck and in the area. There was also on the other side along the water's edge, there was a pile of other stuff there. And if you can go and get one more dumpster, I'm sure that'll be fine. Because if that stuff is, it's been exposed, it's going to be out all winter. It didn't appear it was very usable from and Mike, you can make comment to this, but I didn't think that was going to have any real value.
Yeah, and I understand.
Just get it away from the water's edge.
And I understand, Jack, what you're saying, but again, I'm just here to build a house as a consultant. Yeah. The hard part is I cannot tell the homeowner the things they've owned after he's lost his father, trees have crushed his house. I can't go to him and tell him what you or I or anyone else personally thinks of his belongings and tell him that he needs to get rid of them. That would be above and beyond what I can say.
Then move them to the back side of the yard away from the water.
Right. Well, we have a septic tank going in one side.
Yeah. And the other side.
That takes up the whole front driveway. And the other side has a dumpster on it right now and building materials. So I don't have any place to put anything else. I mean, they have a storage container that's completely full. They have a shed that's completely full. All of the debris and everything that was under that tarp was removed 2 weeks ago Saturday, and it is in the dumpster currently right now. Okay. The only things that are there are the things that he has deemed that he wants to keep. And I don't have the right to tell anyone that.
Right. We're not there to tell anybody what to keep and what not to keep. We're just asking to move them away from 30 feet away.
Everything has been moved. To the best of my knowledge, in the last 2 weeks, like 2 weeks ago Saturday, the family went down there and everything that was under the tarp that was damaged from the rain, the thing, and being there so long was thrown in a dumpster. They did spend the weekend down there cleaning that all up.
Okay, I'll take a look, but thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Problem.
I appreciate that.
Yep.
I'm done.
I think everybody left us, Jack.
No, they're all looking and staring at us. My buddy John Tate is up there. I'm wondering what John's up to.
We have an administrator's determination with John that'll be coming up after this.
Oh, okay.
Rich, did you want to do a site walk?
Yep, I think we should. And unfortunately, I don't see the plan that he's referring to on the cloud.
I thought I put it on the cloud. Apologies, but I'll forward that to everybody tomorrow. But I think we really should. If you want to answer that question, Rich, about the roof, I think the only way you're going to be able to do that is to look at it.
As far as it being able to come back to the edge of the house?
Correct.
Okay. So in my opinion, I mean, I do appreciate him putting in the stormwater remediation for the underground. I think at the very least, if we're going to be putting a roof over the no structure zone and more impervious surface in that area, there should be some remediation that will get done along the water line, and reclaiming some of that that water's edge that just seems to be all trampled down and disturbed. Get some areas back with some natural vegetation would be one suggestion. I know, Jack, you did some of that when you put your access down to your beach, at your house, for the water.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, I still would like to at least see something stamped that says, no, this roof can't be removed because it shouldn't have been there in the first place. So it was never approved. So.
Okay, and I think a site walk, Rich, would help with a lot of that. I think if you see it, it'll put everything into context. Plus, I think we could probably,
I have the context of it. I mean, I've looked at the schematics that they presented in their building plan, so I still haven't seen anything that tells me that you can't just cut the roof. But if that can't happen, then we're shown that it can't happen. In my estimation, there definitely should be remediation along the lake shore to recapture and naturalize a good chunk of that to make up for the loss of the 50-foot buffer area.
so we'll add that to the sidewalk list then?
Yeah.
Yep, add it to the, what was it, the 26th, 27th?
I think it was the 27th.
No, 27th.
I'll verify the date and all that.
I mean, Jack, Mike, or Katie, does anybody else have any suggestions on, I mean, we can't just.
No, I think it's a good question.
Because the next person's gonna come before us, they're gonna see that, oh, why should I ask for permission? They gave those guys, they came in and asked for forgiveness, and we let them put their garage or their rooftop within 37 feet of the water.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't just let this stand. There has to be some, if they can't remove the roof, there has to be some other remediation that has to be done.
Right. Richard,
It's something the owner should also put some thought into, or I don't think Jeremy's the owner, but the contractor.
this has the potential to turn into a real nightmare for us, and you're absolutely correct. And one of the questions I had is that there are some pins that extend out to the perimeter of the overhang, and it looks to me like there's an intention there to create another room via those pins. Jeremy, are there pads is there a pad underneath this that's holding those pins in place?
No, there is not. What we use is a helicoil, it's called.
Okay.
And they're done through metal technopost. We use them in wetland areas, in any impact area that we do not want to dig up a hole to put a 4-foot, a 4-foot hole in the ground for a 3-foot Bigfoot, they call it, with a sonotube and the concrete and all that. So what they do is they have a machine that's a low impact machine, looks like a dingo kind of, and it screws them into the ground to a certain torque pressure that actually supports the deck.
Okay. And is there intention to turn this into a 3-season room?
No, absolutely not.
But we're back.
If it was going to be a 3-season room, it would have to be built a lot differently than what's here.
Yeah, that's why I was asking is there a pad underneath that to support those pins? Okay.
No.
I got a quick question, Jeremy. Are the helicoils structural? Are they supporting the roof, or are they just there?
They will be supporting the roof is a truss roof. They were stamped engineered trusses that carry over at a 3-load point. So the deck would be going on. Those helicoils are rated as a P3 by Technopost. We have the schematics of that. So that'll hold. It's designed to hold the deck, the snow load of New England, and there will be the upright post going to a beam that goes horizontally across the front of that, underneath the roof overhang, 2 feet back.
So we're still back to the same problem. Okay.
And you understand what I'm suggesting as far as the naturalizing some of the lake shore?
Right. And I, in all fairness, to speak freely, the gentleman who has the property now, when his father had passed, their whole goal is to make this a beautiful place. I mean, they have cleaned up everything. There is a beautiful home going there. And I am sure he would all be in favor of cleaning up the water's edge down there, because the railroad ties that have been there for probably 50, 60, 70 years, however long they've been there, they don't fit into the scope of work that he was looking to do anyways.
Well, then if that's something he's interested in, it probably isn't a bad idea to get somebody to draw it up.
Right, which I was just trying to attack one problem at a time, and the house was damaged and they crushed, so they were displaced. The insurance company only pays for them to live someplace for so long before he's paying a mortgage payment and a place to live, and his brother and a place to live, and the whole situation has just come there. So my suggestion when he asked me originally, what do you think we could do down by the shore? I told him that, honestly, conservation is a long process, And if you go through and you try to do anything down by the water's edge besides hay bales, wattles, silt fence, and protection, it's going to require a whole impact plan. That is something Dillis and Roy would have to draw up. That was something an expert would have to get in way above my education level with wetlands. I know the lake associations in different places, they're very difficult. I'm dealing with one right now on the other side of town for you guys, in Lunenburg over on Lake Shirley. And the conditions, the orders and the permits that there took almost 7 or 8 months for the client to get. So I have no problem helping guide him through that. I'm sure he would be ecstatic to actually be able to clean up that whole shore and make it a nice area. But in that process, it does take a lot of time. And I'm just trying to get him back in his house. I mean, if there was an order put in place that said that we're going to have to do this and address this by a certain time, I have no problem with that. I don't think he would. I think right now it's just a matter of trying to get him and his family back into their home that was damaged.
Okay, so I guess we'll talk about it then on the sidewalk.
All right. If you guys want to send me an email, I actually can meet you down there. I'd be more than glad to go over any of it and any suggestions.
Okay. If you send that out, Matt, to Jeremy, and we'll figure out a time schedule as we get a little closer to Saturday, but it'll be Saturday morning.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll confirm with him.
Okay, perfect.
All right. I thank you guys very much.
No problem. Any other questions or comments for Jeremy before he goes? Jeff?
No questions.
Mike?
Nope, all set.
Okay. Thank you, Jeremy. We'll see you on Saturday.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Bye.
All right.
What was the next one, Matt, we had?
One more item. I have John Tata here. I know his information is definitely on the cloud. He has a couple of trees that he needs to take down. I felt it was more than appropriate to do it as an administrator's determination. John, did you want to speak to that, seeing as you're here?
I will unmute. Yes, I'd like to speak to that. So you can't see the pictures.
Just because we can make this really quick, Matt. I don't see the first tree. Tree 2 is easy because it's dead. Tree 3 is easy because it's dead. Where's tree 1?
Tree 1 is next to the deck.
Okay, I just don't have a picture. Is it as dead as tree 2 and 3, Matt?
It's not, no, it's dying, but it's not as dead as those two.
It will be within like the next year.
Okay.
And
if you have a problem with taking those 3 trees down,
okay, I could show you a picture on my phone. Wouldn't show too well.
He won't be able to see, John.
Okay. Yeah, but my wife's worried about the tall number 3 falling on the house. That's about it. My neighbor
John,
is.
I think you're all set.
Yeah.
you just cut these at the base, John.
Thank you.
Will we be replacing the dead trees?
We don't replace dead trees yet.
Sometimes we do. Depends on.
Jack, these things don't have any bark on them. They've been dead.
No, I did. I saw the pictures. That's just it. I was saying, I'm amazed they were standing.
Yep. So, are you just down, John? Are you cutting out taking the stumps out?
Probably. I don't know if we're going to take the stumps out. We'll cut them first. The problem is you can't get a stump grinder down there.
Yeah. All right. No, as long as you're not excavating the stumps, we can give you permission to cut the trees down.
Wonderful. And I have a question.
Yep.
All the time I've spent here, do I get some kind of adult ed certificate in conservation procedures?
Hey, you're welcome to join as an adjunct member, John. You can get frustrated too.
John, Jack's apparently been handing out medals. I've got one. I think he's got one for you too.
I'll give you another one. I always give John.
Thank you much.
There we go.
John, if you submit a timesheet to Matt, he'll pay you at the same rate that we get paid for sitting for the meeting.
Oh, good. Yeah, another high-paying town of Lunenburg job. I already went through that routine 20 years ago.
You did.
All right. Any other questions or comments for John?
No.
Seeing none, I'll accept the motion to ratify Matt's executive order.
Thank you.
Second.
Signing out.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote. Mike?
Aye.
Jack,
Of course.
Jeff,
Aye.
Katie,
Aye.
aye for myself. Thank you very much. Is that it, Matt?
That's it.
Take care, John, old friend.
All
Take
right.
Here, Jack.
Yeah,
Any other questions or comments from commission? Any other comments from commissioners?
oh, we had our first stormwater meeting. Does that count?
Hearing none, I will accept the motion to adjourn.
Second, first, yeah.
Second.
I'll vote. Jeff,
Aye.
Jack,
Aye.
Katie,
Aye.
Matt,
I don't vote, but Jeff does.
Mike,
Aye.
for myself. Hey, have a great night, everybody.
Thank
Good night,
you. Good
guys.
job, Rich. Thank you very
Bye.
much. Okay.
Night, everybody.
Bye.
Night.